Well, before we get started, I want to just say, I've never had 3 guys at the same time before.
You're in for a treat.
I was working out earlier and targeting specific muscle groups, so I'd be ready.
Oh yeah, perfect. Nice.
Matt, Jake, Jordan, thanks for doing this, for having the temerity to be on a podcast. I know it takes a little bit of gall to do it. I think it'll work. I've been hesitant with 4 people before because you can have 2 conversations simultaneously, but I think we can make this work. So the band You'll Never Die it reminds me a lot of particular Fugazi albums. Not Fugazi in general, but particular Fugazi albums. It is raw, visceral, and at times squeaky. You know what I mean? Like as far as high-end guitar and whatnot. Yeah. Did a lot of the tunes just come from like improv, or does somebody come to the table with an idea first? Like what's normally y'all's writing process?
It's normally Jake just has one riff and we're just like, screw it, let's make a whole song out of that.
Yeah, it's either like the riff, like it works, it's like we can do something with this, or we've had times where it's like, that doesn't sound like us, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't fucking sound like us. Done. And then, no idea.
Which takes a lot, because everything sounds like us.
Yeah.
We've learned to make, like, oh, that riff's nice, let's mess it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So. Make it grimy.
There's definitely like and I'm sure we're probably going to talk about this a lot, but like a ego death of, like, we'll decide, okay, we're going to have it sound like You'll Never Die, and like we'll have cool riffs that sound like very shoegazy or very like explosions in the sky, and it's like, but that's not what a You'll Never Die song would sound like, so we botch it. Like, it's just like, all right.
That's interesting. Yeah. Is it, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? The songs are really brief, you know, like, I mean, that's coming from my, like, fucking egomaniacal ass, where I'm just like, no, it needs to be longer. You know what I mean? But, so, like, it always interests me, like, talking with other musicians that do something I can't do. You know what I mean? Like to have, like, an individual sound. Like I said, like, the Fugazi compliment was between Guy Picciotto and Ian Mackay. I think those are the 2 guys' names. I mean, different guitar style, different guitar tone, different singing style, different singing tone. Yeah. And they each had versatility with their playing and their singing. So, and plus, like, I mean, Matt is one of the most talented musicians I've ever, like, encountered.
Anything. Yeah, he picks up whatever, and he's like, I'm going to get good at it.
Like, son of a bitch, man. But, like, and does, like, good and creative things with it. Like, there's a lot of fellow idiot geniuses like ourselves, right? that they get so caught up on their own genius, they don't humble themselves to, like, the idiocy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I like I don't know what the names of the songs are. The set that Jordan sent me, it was this, the 3rd song in the set. And by that time, there were these little elements of, like you said, like shoegaze, but like in a microcosm, where it's just like, oh, you want to drift off to the cloud? Fuck you.
It's nice being the drummer, too, because I'm just like, oh, I get to breathe. They're just going to make shitty noises for a while. Because normally it's me doing the shitty noise, but I'm like, okay, here's a bell hit and take a nap.
God, I have some amazing like videos that I've pieced together of like compilations of Matt like in between a noise part where like they'll be just long enough for him to like do a quick hand roll or something, and it's just enough to loop to where you can infinitely make it loop.
Being a 30-year-old man, my neck is just over. There's no fixing this.
It's done.
I was walking down the hall the other day. It was like a few months ago, but like my knee just poof, like went out just from like doing nothing except stepping. I was like, oh my god! Like, stood up like I was fine, but I was just like, why? Like, why? When I was moving that piano with
by strapping it on my back.
Oh, no way, dude!
You're like the Fridge from Little Giants.
What was that kid's name?
Was it Spike or like?
Yeah. I think so. It was one of those very generic, like this kid's either going to be a cop or a Marine when he grows up.
Yeah.
Like,
Disney's planned out his future. Just like, Spike, you're going to be a villain. Look, your father was a villain, your grandfather, his father before him.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be a villain, Dad.
We've had kids complain about like, it's like the kids that you can tell are like very early into finding out about music, and like you can look at them and understand that the opinion they have now is not what they're stuck with. Like they're eventually going to progress, but you can tell right now that they don't have a very good idea of what's going on. This kid watched our set and he's like, I mean, it would be good, but like every time y'all are almost in the groove of something, you just change. Like, and then like once you do that for a second, you'll change again. Like I don't get how anybody's going to keep up with that. And it's like,
I'm glad I offended you.
I feel like,
that's a compliment to me, buddy.
Yeah.
Art should trigger somebody, right? That's its purpose, is get an emotional reaction out of you.
absolutely.
Which is funny because You'll Never Die has like choruses essentially. Like we have repeating parts. It's like you just have to pay attention to what we're playing again. But it's hard for people to do that. You just don't hear singing. You're like, oh, that's a completely different part. No, it's just we played the second one way worse than the first one. So that's what it is.
You ever heard of a delay pedal, buddy?
Most of my pedals I get on consignment. I was just texting my buddy about Josh Homme earlier and his ridiculous collection, but the delay pedal I got, something in it and its wiring, you can set it to a tap and it's good to go, right? But arbitrarily it'll just decide, let's do it at this tempo instead. So it'll whip and change the tempo and make like weird sounds and drop back down.
Let's figure out how to make it do that every time.
Exactly.
There's certain after months now, like I've noticed a certain setting as far as the type of delay that you're looking for. If you set it more towards the something like faster, like a slapback with a lot of feedback, so you get it like for a few seconds, and then set it slower than that, it'll normally hold the slower one. But if it's something that like is already slow, it'll keep trying to speed it
Ramp
up.
up.
Yeah.
That's you talking about getting stuff on consignment. I've gotten addicted to Reddit's Let's Trade Pedals.
What?
And so like
It's ridiculous.
I have
It's one
a
of those, like,
shelf of pedals at the house, and so like there's the option of buying more and filling up the shelf more with like the thing that you're switching out. But like now you can take the things that you have and trade it for other things. So it's like a library of just trying to see what you want. Like I'm shipping
That's
out, like,
really fun.
oh, it's so addicting.
Yeah,
Like,
I almost don't want to get on there.
don't,
Right?
I would not recommend it. Like, I mean, it is the thing that I do most on social media now is go through there and scroll and see what's going on. And like Reddit, you have to post pictures to Imgur. Is that how you pronounce it?
Imgur?
Imgur. What a
That's,
horrible
that's,
name.
Shrek, that's Shrek's brother.
He's a little taller, but not as funny. But you just find yourself like constantly taking a picture of what you have and like seeing if anybody's interested in that. So you're kind of like putting yourself out there every time. It's like, this is what I have, and like the rich kids are like, no, peasant. Like, this is an expensive pedal. I'm not trading you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in one guitar group. My buddy Austin McLeod added me to it. I think it's like Unpopular Guitar Opinions.
Yeah.
And there's some of the stuff there is like really, really funny and like but then there's these, of course, like the snobs are just like, let's talk about gear. Like, and but then they'll have the parodies of that where it's dudes will have like Warlock guitars and like the Dimebag Daryl custom and the Kerry King. I think that's the guy from Slayer.
Yeah, it's the BC Rich, dude.
Yeah. Dude,
Edgy.
y'all remember Michelangelo Bascio?
Yes. Double guitar.
I know you guys can't see us, but everybody except for Matt put their arms out to play the air guitar.
I actually had no idea until I saw the hands. I'm like, oh, it's that fucking guy. Like, you didn't say any words. You just had to go like this. I'm like, oh, yeah.
And in the most respectful manner, imaginable. Because I'll never be as good as that guy, but, like, the only person that rivals him in douchebaggery on a guitar is Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah.
It's just like,
And he only does it with one neck.
yeah.
Michelangelo's got two of
Like
those.
that fucking scallop fretboard, like.
Oh, yeah.
I bet the action on those things, like, you could whisper to it, you know? It's just that fucking...
There's a band called Goblin Cock that is totally spoofing on that. It's Nick Reinhardt from Terramellos, which is this amazing noise band that all of us love. And then the guy from Piebald? Is it the guy? Yeah, it is the guy from Piebald. And
funny.
so they're basically these indie kind of rock guys.
That's a great band name, by
And
the way.
they made a doom band, and so they all use warlocks and like they wear cloaks, and it's like they have these minions that they're like chasing with whips, and it's like adjust my pedal board. Like Earthquaker Devices did a really good interview with them for about 20 minutes. That's just like this beautiful like
great.
parody and everything.
Yeah.
It's like back in the day when Odorous Urungus went on I think it was like Joan Rivers or like some like daytime talk show, and he's in full Gwar costume and like in full character. She's like, what is next for Gwar, for the band from hell, and like all this description. He's like, Cleveland.
When he died, it was him that passed away, right?
Yeah.
Vocalist.
I think it's amazing he had the Viking funeral, like where they shot flaming arrows at his casket floating in the water. I was like,
yeah.
That was like such a good ending to that story to me. I was like, that's probably exactly what he wanted, and it's amazing that people gave that to him.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not a member of You'll Never Die.
Yeah.
I got to see them in 2006. I was in Orlando going to school, and
They were at your school.
no, they weren't at the school. I think they were at Disney, or they were either at Disney or the House of Blues. One of them Universal has, and one I think Universal may have Hard Rock. Either which way, they're one of those places. And somebody just had like an extra ticket, and it was just like down the road. I was like, Gwar? Like, fuck yeah! The theatrics with it were fantastic, but even like the band performing was like that's some fucking good shit, man.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine wearing all of that and performing.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude.
I mean, and they're shredding. They're not just like going like playing a few soft chords. They're like the whole time. Like, I mean, the riffs that they do are definitely like metal idols look up to them. So it's insane to be able to wear that, or a costume in general, like while you're playing.
Especially so spiky.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not poke yourself while you're shredding that hard?
That's like a lot of those black metal bands. I'm not a big fan. I watch, if anything, it's like drummer videos.
Exactly.
Because those guys are unreal. But like seeing the entire performance is wild. Like you gotta respect that shit.
Yeah.
That much blood all over you.
Yeah.
And still hold a pick.
I don't think I can make it through an entire song live without losing a pick. I'm always just like, let me start punching my shoulder.
I don't know. Like, having blood on your hands actually makes pick holding easier.
Yeah.
I know from experience.
I would always
Very sticky.
find sand or dirt like before playing live and go just rig my hands with it, get all dirty. I saw it on Gladiator.
Right before you grip the solo in Gladiator.
Picture him standing there with a sword.
He picks up that dirt and just sort of like rubs it in his hands. I was like, that would probably work for like that sweaty palm before a show or something. Works pretty well. The cat tongue picks, whatever fucking genius invented those things, those are awesome, dude. I swear by them.
What is that?
They've got this little guy. They've got a little sandpaper grip.
Okay, yeah.
On it.
Oh, yeah. That's a good name for a cat tongue pick.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jake has found the best pick in the world. It's what's the green and orange ones?
Dunlop.
Dunlop. What's the tortoise or Tortex?
Tortex, yeah.
they make this one pick that has it looks like a regular one, and then the end of it comes together to be a point. So it's almost like you're playing with this ultra fine tip.
Yeah, but it's not a jazz
the way
pick.
that it sits. Yeah.
That's the Jazz 3. So it's like
No, it's not the Jazz 3.
It's not?
It's fuck.
I gotta look it up real quick because
I'm gonna try to keep talking while he finds what it's called because I can't remember either.
So
But
it is.
like
It is the Jazz 3.
It's
so
the tip.
The Jazz 3 was an improvement on the Jazz 2, which people were like, okay, that's not enough.
No,
Pick.
the Jazz 3 is like an itty bitty like
It's
Eric
a small,
Johnson.
It's a small pick. It's slightly larger than the Jazz 2. Picks are science, dude. Every you could like shitty guitar, shitty amp, shitty pedals, whatever. A good pick and like a good tuning, you can make anything sound good.
I agree, like 100% on that. What were the I guess they were jazz picks. They were thick as shit, and they had a deep groove in it. Purple ones.
It's like you thought you were gonna break a string every time
Yeah.
you did like a little.
I mean, I always broke strings. I was self-taught, so nobody ever taught me finesse. It was just like, make the music work!
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of it.
Right.
I've devolved into that. I started on like doing classical and jazz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all that. And the older I've gotten, the more punk it's gotten. Where it just, I don't worry about shredding. It's what does this chord sound like? Okay, I'm gonna play this chord until I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It's pretty freeing. I got hung up on theory for a few years. I was taught on piano, but
That's the pick.
Sorry, I
was
said
wrong.
on my
I
phone.
stand
It
corrected.
is the Tortex Flow.
The
Something
flow.
about it is like
Flows on the strings.
it's got that like
It's
the
almost-
nipple at the end of the pick is a little
Yeah.
more fine than it normally would be.
That picture doesn't do it justice, but it's like almost like a more of a rectangular pick with just like a little point on the bottom of it. So like it stays in your finger very nicely, but then like the amount of attack that you're hitting the string with is much smaller. So you can,
Compression.
Yeah.
Like, compression
Yeah.
starts with the right hand.
yeah.
The the theory. I had been playing probably about 10 years in, and then I had a class on like music theory and started having like you apply the mathematics or the arithmetic to muscle memory.
Yeah.
And like then I started find myself having to conform to the rules of scale, and I was like, I don't want to conform to the rules of scale all the
Right.
time, you know?
Right.
Like you want to find new sounds, new tones, and whenever, as you said, like you just sort of say like, well, what is this chord going to sound like? And it's either going to be something that like, hey, I can use this, or nah.
Yeah.
you just try something else, you know?
I use the abrasive scale. It's like, so let me,
Yeah.
so how bad does this actually sound? You know, like
Yeah.
is it nails on chalkboard right now, or is it like will this pass into like is this a suspended chord or not kind of thing? I don't know.
How does this sound through a wall of fuzz?
That's it.
Right, yeah, exactly.
With my amp cranked. That's another thing. Somebody said that they've never left one of our shows without a headache, and I was like,
There we go.
yes! It's like the sound you can feel. Like, that's definitely the goals. It's like, Matt's played in many bands that just had huge walls of sound as well, but like, that was my goal right off the bat, was to like, what is the biggest rig we can fit in a house show setting?
Yeah.
Like, and it turns out it's like a rig bigger than anywhere in Valdosta will ever need. And,
Yes, exactly.
and we turn it up as loud as we can.
Uh-huh.
Like, I mean, there's something about music once it's past 110 decibels probably where it's just like, it's a different experience. Like, it's almost like a high to just like hear that wall of sound beating you as hard as it can.
Man, the older I get, I need fucking earplugs.
Oh, I wear earplugs like a motherfucker.
We're not enjoying it. We have to do it. Yeah, and I'm playing to a click track the whole time, so I just have in-ears. I'm just like, oh, okay, I can't hear anything besides beep, beep, beep for a long time after the show.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
So it's like a percussive tinnitus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like EDM in my ear all the time. It's pretty cool. I'm just waiting for the drop, though.
What do you guys think as far as like distortion goes?
Ooh. We going best distortion pedal?
I mean,
We're about to knock it out right now.
Oh fuck! Here we go.
I'll go first.
Matt first.
Oh, Metal Muff.
Metal Muff.
Metal
Metal
Muff.
Muff.
Is Electro Harmonix.
Yeah, and my favorite prostitute I've ever met. Metal Muff. Yeah, it's Electro Harmonix. It's like an HM2 meets Big Muff. It's really bad. It's awful, but it sounds great. It sounds great loud, but it doesn't do anything else good at all.
How's the sustain on it?
Oh yeah, it doesn't stop.
I was saying, because the Big Muff, that was like one of its cool features was that sustain, it'll take you places. So I can only imagine what the metallic version of the Big Muff would do.
Yeah, it's good. It's really bad. If you're listening, it's like $40 on every single used website. It's worth picking up and just not enjoying.
What is actually offset the price a little bit on that? It used to be that cheap, and then Thurston Moore, when he did his Fender interview, that's what he uses now.
Is that the guy from Sonic Youth?
Yeah, and he has it like taped over like crazy, but like everybody knows what it is now. That's a secret.
Yes,
like
I need to buy a whole
it's
bunch
something
of
that you can look at. Like if you just saw the outline spray painted black, like you would still know what that is.
That ever-changing pedal economy, like
Yeah.
the trends are fucking stupid.
Yeah, exactly. That's why my second is a Klon.
Yeah. You make that kind of money?
Yeah, that's more expensive than my car.
Yeah. Ridiculous. I think the Palisades,
Ooh,
as far
yeah.
as overdrive,
Also
gain
on
pedals.
the same board as my Big Muff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have never gotten rid of that.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Is it nice?
Yeah.
I grown pretty fond of my Electro Harmonix micro synth. I've run a Yamacaster, as I call it. It's a Yamaha knockoff of a Fender, but you get some big tone out of there because you can control a sub octave of it, and it's square wave distortion.
Nice.
So like you can get some nice Nintendo grooves out of it.
Yeah.
But I think the Rat is a really solid distortion pedal.
Yeah,
that would
sure.
that would probably be my number 2. If I next time I get a distortion pedal, I'll probably get a Rat.
Have you ever played a Turbo Rat?
I have not, sir.
It is definitely worth checking out before you invest some money in a regular Rat. Turbo Rat in the diode section of it, which is where the diode clipping goes on inside of the distortion, they replace it with light bulb resistors instead of diodes, and it completely changed. I mean, it's still definitely a Rat, but like it gives it much more headroom, and the gain just sounds like a lot more crisp. Like it hits really hard. I've got a Little Bear, which is a clone of a Rat, and it has all 3 of them built into it. So like that was the one that I was like, holy shit! Like Turbo Rat's the one.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sleep on it. So.
Mm-hmm.
There's something with distortion, man, because like it's it's kind of like, I guess, like people with like food or cars or sports teams or anything, because like there's certain tones where like I'll hear and I'll just be like, man, I dig this band, but I don't like the way this is engineered at all.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. Just one pedal can change the whole sonics of a record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
That's even seeing bands live where it's just like, dude, you're doing some really cool shit right now, but I can't listen to this.
Yeah.
And it's just like, tweak a couple knobs and you'd be in a different world, but fuck.
Yeah, I agree. That's why we're so loud, so you can't even tell if it's shitty or not.
Well, then also like taking a tube amp and using it like you're supposed to use a tube amp.
Yeah,
and
get it
that's
warm.
Pushing.
Yeah, and it will push in the tubes and using your preamp and not relying on pedals all the time.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
one of the big things.
Yeah.
Especially with who was it, Little Richard? Like on some of his old recordings, like whenever you hear that crackling, it's because he's so loud.
Yeah.
Like he's screaming into that motherfucker. It's just
absolutely.
It's just beautiful screaming, you know.
Absolutely.
It's been warming up that tube for a while.
Little Richard keeps that tube warm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird. Like distortion on your voice is so different.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you realize that's a thing you can do, you're like, oh, I don't have to buy that pedal. That's nice.
There's something from it, as far as like with making records. Like sometimes, like just from personal experience, there'll be a song where I'm like, oh, I mean, it's an okay song, and then I'll get to the vocal effects. I'll be like, well, what does it sound like with distortion? Oh, this song kicks ass now. It's like, oh, I sound like I'm singing through a fucking robot, but not auto-tune type of robot, but just like, you know, like grimy, you know, like. I always think of there was an Allison Chains record. It was the last one they did with Lane Staley. It was self-titled, with a three-legged dog on it. I absolutely love the guitar tone on there, and like as far as a band, that was my favorite album they did because they started doing weird stuff. Like they were incorporating like doom and sludge and like nightmarish type of psychedelia, and they still had like power ballads, but they weren't like arena power ballads. They were like all this like just like a vampire movie, you know, like I remember like listening to that record as a kid and just being like, the guitar just sounds so fucking heavy, like, and like that's one of my favorite guitar records ever, man.
Yeah, I definitely want to see them super bad. Well, when we can see bands again.
At this point, I think everything's just gonna be like, why go outside? Stream it.
Yeah.
Get back inside. Be a hero. Stay inside.
That noise you made when you're talking about like when hey
Get it, boss.
get that moth.
Oh yeah.
Get that moth.
Show that moth who's boss.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Got it. Oh, it's still getting the best of you.
We're definitely not talking to a cat. We're just talking to some person outside.
Old Jim's chasing moths again. Get it, Jim.
Get him with the laser pointer. When you described like how that one riff that you would hear, how it just like, for those of you who couldn't see him through the microphone, he like flexed and like lunged at the table. I mean, that riff is what gets you. That's definitely like what I'm always striving for, is like hitting something to a point where it like is angry music without like having to actually project anger or something like that. It just shows the intensity of driving like that.
A heavy rhythm section. Doesn't matter the genre.
Yeah.
But the riff that got me is a song called Sludge Factory. And
that's my OnlyFans name.
Good to
this
know.
show is brought to you by the local church.
It's Jim's church. That's why he's getting all those moths.
Reverend Jim. Come down to Reverend Jim's Moth Methodist Church.
The first one.
Didn't see you at church today. Yeah, Jim. Sure didn't.
COVID. My neighbor was talking about like how the churches are now allowing people to go back and congregate, and she was like, you know, I kind of like just watching it from the TV. I was like, now you're learning, Karen.
Yeah.
Watching church from the TV?
Yeah. There's,
she's like live streams with the
Yeah.
church? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Totally cool.
Yeah. Shades of televangelist there. They're just like,
God,
branch
2020, everybody becomes a televangelist. Every preacher becomes a televangelist.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's a good name for a song.
Ooh.
When every preacher's a televangelist.
there you go.
Someone already stole it. We haven't even wrote it yet.
We did sign that paper, though.
Oh, yeah.
What's your second favorite distortion pedal, Jake?
Ooh.
Wait,
yours was the Turbo Rat, Jordan? Oh, what was your first?
I haven't showed yet.
I thought yours was the Turbo Rat this whole time.
No.
Who makes the rat?
Proco.
Proco?
Yeah.
Proco.
I found it really cool. They did that limited colorway, the Pikachu colorway, where it's a yellow box with a red.
Whoa.
And yeah.
That's super ugly.
You gotta order it from Japan, but totally worth it,
Nice.
in my opinion.
I've got a Japanese Ibanez flanger pedal. It's dirty and busted.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
neon yellow and with a hard black top on it, like
Yeah.
rubber.
Ibanez has some sleeper pedals, especially.
Dude,
like
The
order.
most sleeper pedals ever.
Smashbox
Yeah.
by Ibanez. That was always my favorite one.
There's the Sound Tank line. Unreal.
Just the ugliest.
It's like $30 cheap plastic pedals that I keep one on the board that is like should not
Some
work
of the
anymore,
best
but it
circuits
does.
were in there.
Yeah. Can't tour with them.
No.
Break them.
Yeah.
But
I took one apart to see why the switches were so finicky. And like that big pedal, inside of it is a double point double throw switch that's about that big that you're hitting every time you step on that little black piece of pedal that turns it on and off. So that just wears out by the time it's
Yeah.
20 years old.
You could hit it once and it's going to turn on and off 3 times. And then
yeah.
it'll turn the effect on after you already gave up on using it. It's just whatever.
Well, I liked a lot of Electro Harmonix gear. For the most part, they're pretty durable. But
Yeah, absolutely.
the who is it? Behringer. I think they just take pretty much the circuitry of the Boss pedals and they just put them in their own chassis and like they're just like, oh, it's not yours, it's ours.
Yeah.
And you get it for like half the
Copyrights
price.
And
ran
then,
out on them.
and then get their tires pumped by JHS and just
Yeah.
make a killing.
Oh, right. Yeah, that video.
But they've got those really flimsy whatever part of the circuitry is that, like you're talking about that switch where it's just like this little plastic monolith.
Yeah, the shape of a pencil tip.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can't afford a Boss pedal, that's not good for you. You're gonna have to get the Behringer version. That's
It's crazy though. There's just a lot of cheap options to pedals.
There
that
is.
Still sound good. And
Yeah.
I mean, when you spend more than $200 on a pedal, it's just what's the word I'm looking for?
Don't shame me.
I
You just shamed all of us.
I'm so bad about it. Like pedals I don't even need. I just be like, oh, I've got money right now. There's a $300 pedal. Will I use it for anything? Absolutely not. But whatever.
yeah.
I was hoarding for the longest time. I wouldn't sell anything, and
I've realized through that Let's Trade Pedals that it's like sneakers for a whole nother genre of men. Or it's tough to follow that up by saying men, but I mean it's because the same like culture surrounding it, like they get off on like, does it still have the original paperwork inside? Does it still have the box on
yeah,
it? What kind of condition is
swag
it in?
shit, whatever.
If you put
Yeah.
Velcro on it, did it leave a residue? Because
Oh,
it's
that's
not,
the worst.
It's not meant if you put Velcro on it and then took it off without using a proper cleaner on it. Like,
I always think about how clean are the pots. Like as far as like
Actually, like getting under there and cleaning them.
I wish I was that technical with it. I don't have any of the equipment to do it, like soldering and whatnot. I know how to solder though. I never knew. It was like first time I took a cooking class. I was like, I can cook.
Right.
Like, it's just like you just follow instructions. Like so, I was like I get that, and like circuit boards and whatnot. Like I get that. It was just that aspect of it. I've focused more on accumulating more gear. I think it's probably because since I've lost so much gear in a house fire, that then I was just like man, like I'll worry about that later. But most of my pedals are consignment and used. The last one I bought new was a Hog harmonic octave generator.
Yeah, I love the Hog.
This was the Hog 2, so it got 7 different channels added to it, plus the dry channel. You could go 4 octaves, and then you had 3 harmonies as well that you could blend in there. And like really, really like cool pedal. You could full organ, but it had everything on it is metal. So whenever like one thing started going off, as far as like it would short out something else, and then another problem surfaces from that, and like now it's like it's not even in the chain, man. I don't even think it's out. I think it's in the closet.
Right.
Oh shit.
that'd be worth getting tidied up. I've got a Pog, one of the. I thought that it was much older than that. I assumed that they were 90s, but in the 2000s, Electro Harmonix released the Pog, which was the predecessor to the Hog. And it's like a lot of blues lawyer famous musicians like John Mayer or something like that, like talk about how that's one of the best ones ever. And just like with your Hog, like you could, just like with your Hog, you can control it to make like these sweet organ sounds, like,
Hell yeah.
and just like adding the different sub octaves into it to just really make the whole bottom end just whoop, like no matter what you do, it's always going to be pushing it up from the bottom end.
Yeah.
Bring in the high octaves, and you just get this like beautiful organ tones where it's ringing through the bells.
Yeah, that's one thing I liked about. I don't have a Fender anymore, but like Fender like Telecasters, Stratocasters, and using effects that most people would, I guess, more commonly put on like a Gibson line. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I like things like octave pedals and bonks.
Just fucking around out there.
And add some like some beefiness to like what would normally be like this clean like sounding tone, and it's I don't know, just trying different things as far as like in the effects chain itself. Like, do I want to have my phaser before or after the distortion, because it's going to make a big difference.
That is one of
Absolutely.
those, like, it's a never ending thing of like every week I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna reset my pedal chain, like same pedals and things just getting moved around. And I'm on the super reverb chain right now, so I have a reverb right after the preamp on my board, and then I have a reverb after everything else also. And so when they're both on and I'm doing the really big ambient stuff, it's a wall of sound, and it just doesn't quit. It sounds awesome. It probably doesn't actually sound awesome, because I don't know.
Following the same suit, I just got a delay pedal that I put on the front end, but it's a delay pedal meant to not feed back. So when you turn the feedback all the way up, it's just the resonance and the repeats, so it won't turn into just like a wall of like
Right.
It's actually repeating what you're doing. So you can create these amazing percussive things by putting it on the front, to where like your tone just keeps like hitting every other effect after that, following it, and just I mean, you're not making guitar noises anymore at that point. It sounds like you're playing like a badass old Moog synth that's like just pushing square waves as hard as it can.
Yeah.
It's back in the day, was it a Bo Diddley, just with his strumming style?
Yeah.
Like that's one thing he started doing, was like to make guitar a more percussive instrument for rock and roll.
That is something that I focus on so much.
Yeah.
Is percussive strumming and adding little like adding triplets and stuff like that here and there. You don't have to do everything 4/4.
Yeah.
Right.
And that comes down to even strumming. Like there's more numbers in between the two.
Yeah, that's what's cool about your whole right hand. Like, people think it's all about your left hand shredding, but your right hand is really what makes the song.
Mm-hmm. You have to find that was it syncope? Is that the word?
Syncopation.
Even said
Where is it? It's on the tip of the tongue.
Where you get them to like sort of like meet up, and only for like a brief moment, then you have to move on to something else, and like finding that groove. Do you guys play into a click track and using delays and stuff like that? Whenever you're playing with other musicians, that like rhythm is the foundation, like with everything first, then you can like really open up to like, okay, where do we want to take this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can even set some sort of trigger up from inner ear on a click to trigger a different click and a different tempo. Like at certain times, like that shit's fucking wild to me. Yeah. That like science like allows us to like do that. So like just finding different experimentations that work. Like taking something like a delay pedal, and the delay pedal becomes the percussive element of a string instrument.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I like that shit, dude.
Yeah, me too.
Matt doesn't even use like a accent on his click because we play it.
Is that a Scottish accent?
Oi, 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 oi.
That'd be great.
All right.
You're just saying haggis over and over again.
Like we've had songs where it's like, wouldn't it be fun if we did where a measure of this is in 7/4, and then the next measure is in 3/4, and then we go back to 7/4, and then back to 3/4, and we'll just do a standard 4/4 banger for the chorus, and like to where it's always kind of bouncing back and forth, where like certain parts are thicker, like it doesn't even line up. It's just we have to be counting and everybody be aware of where we're at.
Oh yeah.
Like one of our songs, Slab City, does that. Where like
Slap City?
Slab,
City.
Yeah, Slab.
where it's just like, I mean, the whole point of it is to just we are all playing something different
Yeah.
that's at the same rhythm. Like it's just absolutely like doing our own thing, not even the same key or anything, but the timing that we're doing it on is what makes the music You'll Never Die. It's like, and then when we come back together in that 4/4 part, it feels like it hits so much harder because everything's like your world is spinning, and then it slaps back into place.
Yeah, it drives. It's just kind of like, all right, hop in. We're, this is
Hang on.
yeah.
So, Slab City, what's the title? Is it in the lyrics itself, or?
Well, Slab is.
Yeah.
City's not in the lyrics, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, it refers to the city. Like if you want to
Yeah.
leave the slab, it'll take everything you have.
Right.
Like it's about just living in Valdosta. Like so many people act like it's such a drag, but like you'll get out if you want to get out, and if not,
Yeah.
you'll just be a bump on a log, or you'll make something of yourself.
Do something with life.
Yeah.
Like, I've got friends that are fucking dead, man. Like, they would love to do something with life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sit around bitching about how everything's lame. Maybe you're lame.
Yeah,
It's
You know?
always that.
it's
always
so you're still going to be
something.
lame whenever you go to the city that you think is going to make you.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
growing up in Valdosta, there's always been the people that just complain about being here, and like
It's
they don't leave.
And they're
They don't shut up either.
The same people just like stay.
yeah.
Come on, man.
Or come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite's when they come back.
And then they act like nothing happened. They're like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" Like, you don't live here. Yes, I do. Oh, well.
Well, you didn't talk to me for 3 months, so I guess we're not that good of friends anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks too because I love Valdosta. I don't want to move at all. Like, I'm probably gonna die here. Right in Colter's house, I'm probably gonna die here.
I mean, I've actually got a spot prepared for it.
Perfect.
My psychic abilities knew that this
was gonna
talk would
happen.
have to happen tonight.
Yeah.
It's like the tripwire where instead of like tripping the wire and a shotgun blows your head off, it's like all 4 corners of the room light up with sage.
Yeah.
Pre-cleanse.
But yeah, like I love living in Valdosta. I have no desire to leave here. Like I leave a lot, like touring and stuff.
Mhm.
But like, I'm always like, it's like I'm never like, oh, I can't wait to get home because touring is my favorite thing to do in life. But like, coming home is like, oh, this is home. It's not like a place that my stuff is. So
Yeah.
I've always liked Valdosta because it's nice having a place that doesn't change too much.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. Like when you left for a long time, Jake, like you moved back and it was pretty close to the same, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple new faces, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
Exactly. A different venue, maybe, but that's it.
No, there's still everything happening gas.
Yeah, true.
It's like, fuck, why am I here?
Yeah.
I was gone. I left twice. Once for like 2 years, another time for like 4 years. And Vito's was gone after the 4 years.
Oh, bummer.
And
Fucking rip.
yeah. So I think the last show I went there, I didn't even think I got to see because the fire marshal got called.
I think I remember that one.
I think
Which show is that?
it was Evergreen Terrace and Under Oath.
Oh.
And I think it was Under Oath after Spencer joined the band, so that it was boy bands with breakdowns that season.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's... Oh, man, that's pretty good. Nothing's changed, really.
Mm-hmm.
With that, the whole boy band thing,
Yeah.
that's still a thing. They just don't yell into the microphone as much. They sing a little bit more these days. But
Yeah.
It's kind of silly, but I went back and listened to the From First to Last discography a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And on one of their new albums, they have a song that says, one of the lyrics is,
now that God is a hardcore kid, Disney's getting involved, and I was like, whoa, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's true though. Like that's the they'll classify as like emo or alt or like whatever term they have to do. Same way they used to do with goth back in the day, and grunge kid and whatever weird new metal kids were. I'm not sure what they called us. I mean, they called me faggot a lot, but I don't think that was a really like a group that I didn't align with.
It wasn't on your name tag.
It wasn't. I don't think it was anyway. Maybe I had a sign on me. Who knows?
Right.
But there was no. I mean, to your point, man. Like I like Valdosta. Like I like that. Like the town folk here for the most part are like everybody be cool because we've all got fucking guns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and like you said, there is something comforting about when a community is stable. And it's not that it's like it doesn't change because it's stagnant. It's no, this is a rather self-sustaining part of America. You can grow food like locally. You can get food locally, like butcher shops, and like you can hunt around here. Like we're not so isolated, and there's also not close to half or a full million people in the county or anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like plus like you can be at. I always say Gulf of New Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico, or the Atlantic, and just a couple of hours,
Yeah,
like either
it's
which
nice.
way,
Right.
and the mountains the same way, and
Yeah.
there is alternative culture here,
Yeah.
I like it, man.
Yeah, if there
Absolutely.
wasn't, I would definitely be out. I moved to Gainesville a long time ago.
yeah.
Yeah, but
So when are you guys gonna have stuff available online? Like so you
one
guys
more
were-
recording session away.
one more
Yeah,
recording.
maybe about an hour's worth of recording, and then we're ready. Yeah.
Be sending it off to get it mastered
Mm-hmm.
by the God himself, Lee Dias.
And then we can get like 50 plays a month.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of. That's
So
a lot.
Spotify sent me a check about a year ago, and it was for $7. And I was like,
you're famous.
How many
Yeah.
how many plays have you got?
not a lot. I was like, how did we get 7? Like, I was talking to my drummer Eli for Dying Well, and he's like, how did we get $7?
He's like, can I get that $3.50?
No, I'm not cashing that. Keeping that in a frame because it's the only Spotify money we're ever gonna get.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I've got. I mean, the podcast does pretty well. Our listeners, they're God love them. But like my music, I think I've got on Spotify like 9 subscribers. We're almost in double digits for people that
Yeah.
listen. There's somebody in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, that listens regularly.
Oh.
That is awesome.
Thank you, sir or ma'am, or VPN address located in
Yeah, there we go.
They use their ExpressVPN to listen to you.
It's probably my FBI agent. He's like, I'm gonna keep tabs on this dude. All right, I'll check out his music.
Oh, this slaps.
It's
Not bad.
It's gonna move to somewhere in Russia after this episode.
Where'd my subscriber go? Ah, man, he's a mover and a shaker.
Edward Snowden.
So, what's been the shittiest band you guys have been a part of? Not necessarily like people, just to clarify, or just like, God, man, that band. But like, where you just the whole thing, where you're just like, in hindsight, you're just like, that's a pretty bad band.
Me and Jordan's first band? I guess. Right?
That wasn't horrible. I've gone back and listened to it and been very impressed with the music.
Yeah, for how old we were, absolutely.
Well, teenagers and boy versus man.
Yeah.
Still, I think I could still play a couple of riffs.
Oh, yeah.
It'll probably come back to me very quickly.
I used to do it because Caleb played in the band with me in high school, and so he always showed up to practice super late, and so I would just turn my amp up and just start playing boy versus man stuff.
That's so
Fuck you,
funny.
dude.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, we were very young back then. I wouldn't say that's the shittiest.
I was about to say because
band I've ever
like
been in.
my first band like our first name was Elixir with 3 X's because we were
Ooh.
tough.
Wow.
You better not be wearing any clothes if I paid it.
Yeah, for real.
I think there were laws since we were teenagers.
Okay, that's
Opening
fair.
up for Bug Cherry, I'm sure.
A Vow. But I would not throw like a Vow or those guys in like the shittiest band. The shittiest band would probably be like something. Like I had the idea of like somebody I met in Jersey like once. I was probably like speeded out of my mind. Just like what we should do, man. We should just like write all these songs like tonight, man. Look at this. We got like 5 songs already.
Yeah.
Just like I'm gonna call you, dude. I'm gonna call you. And then no. Nothing
I
ever
think
happens.
I've had some of those moments. I do a solo noise project. That's probably the shittiest. It's
Solo
like-
noise project.
I love that project, man.
Mine is just me masturbating. That's my solo noise
It's like an
project.
ASMR thing.
Yeah, I think any one of our bands that played at Vito's cannot be called our shittiest band.
No.
Because that shit was just fun.
Well,
None of us cared. No one was like, oh, we're gonna be famous from this.
Yeah.
It was everybody just wanted to play a show for their friends. At Vito's.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel like rock stars,
Yeah.
like in Vito's, you know what I mean? Like,
Not even rock stars. Like I've never ever wanted to feel like a rock star.
no, I always felt like a rock star always playing at Vito's, man. Like, I always did. Like, I thought it was so cool, dude.
Start ripping a solo and you get like 10 people doing that.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of shred hands at Vito's. I was one of them. Ooh, that's a tough. Any band I was in high school was not good.
I think Thrill of a Gunfight was my worst.
Oh, that was your worst.
It wasn't even so much.
What was the name of it?
Thrill of a Gunfight?
Thrill of a Gunfight.
Yeah, they were out of Columbus. I moved up there for a few months and did a tour with them. It was just wasn't a good experience. You have like those long experiences in life where you're like, I could have done without that.
Yeah.
It was one of those.
Your van blew up on
Van
tour.
blew up on the fucking.
What van doesn't blow up on tour?
No, but Jake's van blew up,
Oh, yeah,
like on
exploded?
fire.
Yeah.
Oh.
We had a problem with. Might have been the transmission. I don't remember. I was trying to drive it. We were on the interstate going from
You were
Louisiana to
driving?
Texas. Yeah.
Oh,
I was
shit.
driving. I think I was the most sober person that morning, and hit the interstate, and it's Western Louisiana, which is one of the shittiest places in America.
Yeah, worst
Um,
place to drive. So bad.
Terrible. There's like nothing. There's mom and pops like shacks off the
Yeah.
interstate,
Mhm.
and that's what you got to work with. And I pulled over, and we thought it was just overheating. Got some radiator fluid and put it in there, and radiator fluid. Coolant. And flush the radiator and all that, and we get back in, and I start driving. Power steering goes out when I get off the ramp, like onto the actual interstate. Power steering went out, pulled it over, popped the hood, smoking everywhere. One of the guys threw water on it, which didn't help anything.
That's so smart.
And it's just like, oh shit, let's call 911 and push the trailer back because we're not putting this fire out, and that's what happened.
Cow.
Shit blew up. Tires started popping. We had traffic backed up like 5 miles down the interstate. It was a thing, and I ended up with the worst summer of my life.
Golly. And 1,000. It's close to 1,000. Western Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like, that's close to 1,000 miles from here, I guess.
I was far away from home.
Yeah.
Spent the night in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Ooh, that's really bad.
Yeah. I had to
That's the
walk-
worst place in the world.
Start walking through downtown Shreveport to this hotel we were able to get a room at, and the cabbie pulls over. He's like, "Hey, hop in. Like, you guys shouldn't be walking around here." I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Shreveport's awful. If you have any listeners from Shreveport, they should know that
More
is
power.
the worst place. They should move to Valdosta.
Yeah.
Shreveport is so bad.
Yeah. That's one of those things. Going back to the whole Valdosta thing, people are like, "It's so bad here," and I'm like, I've lived in
Go to
places.
Shreveport.
Same,
You know,
dude.
yeah, there's much worse places in America.
Any bigger city. Every time I've ever spent time in a bigger city, I've always been like, I love Valdosta.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
The insanity that goes into people's it's almost like a adrenaline that people are pushed with when they live in a larger city. It seems like you have to be a little bit more on edge than you have to be here in Valdosta.
Yeah.
Like, I feel relaxed 99% of the time about Austin.
Mhm.
And the other 1% is just me being pissed off about somebody using a turning lane, or not using a turning lane. Like, when that person has their blinker on in front of you and there's a turning lane and they're just slowing down, I'm like,
Yeah, Bemis Road.
pull out a
every day.
gun and throw it at them. Like,
That was when I moved back, and I work in Tifton, and it's even worse there with the old.
Oh, yeah,
old driving,
absolutely.
and yeah, it took me like a year to get used to that shit. Going to lunch, and I'm just like, like, I've got 45 minutes to get back to work, and it's not happening with these people driving this way. It's like 10 miles under the speed limit. Like, what?
Tifton's horrible.
It's,
And the way that they utilize the interstate in the city is bonkers.
yeah,
It is.
absolutely.
It's designed in a way where it's like they're like, all right, guys, there's a lot of fucking people coming, so get the roads ready. Get them ready, because they're coming here to Tifton.
Oh my god, that's really funny.
What is like exit? Is it exit 60?
64?
69.
Is that it's got like
63
yeah?
A and B. Yeah.
It's like that one inconvenience on 5 points here in town, but like the entire fucking exit is that.
It's like, all right, guys, we're gonna need 2 lanes just to get on this shit.
And then some dipshit was like, let's maximize this traffic by building a Chick-fil-A here. It's just like, oh, this is so
And
bad.
a Starbucks on the other end.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, man, they must be getting out some good dick and pussy at Chick-fil-A, because those lines are incredible, dude.
I eat it with a spoon.
Dude,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Like I've never seen like fast food like go to that level where just like we're gonna have people in the fucking parking lot there to greet you and make sure you're having a great fucking day. You're eating the Lord's chicken today, so smile, son of a bitch.
I've been to church in almost like 15 years now, but I think I'm still good because of how much Chick-fil-A I've had. It's just like,
Yeah.
So are they that efficient to make up for being closed on Sundays?
I think so.
It's
I
like-
don't think there's another restaurant of any walk of the food service industry that makes the money that they make every day between like 11 o'clock and closing.
Bitch, they've got breakfast.
Yeah,
5 a.m.
Yeah. I stand corrected. They're when they're open, they're making money till
Yeah.
they close those
It's
doors.
insane.
Yeah.
Double lane.
What if they're really just selling ketamine and like it's just a worldwide operation? But the guy, he's really into Jesus and like family values.
Yeah.
I've eaten a lot of Chick-fil-A, and I may have tried ketamine, and I have yet to float from eating Chick-fil-A.
There's a bathroom at. I'm about to break the seal.
You can. There's one on the back porch. You just gotta make sure you close the door, otherwise, bonkers will. I don't know about attack you. He'll just go in there with you and get up to no good.
Don't pee on his cat.
That's
All
my
right.
job.
So now we have to ask Jordan, what's your favorite?
Okay, so my favorite distortion
Now that
pedal.
Jake's out of the room.
So you would want to go buy it. He has a problem. Actually, we all have problems.
My favorite, I got 2 in here. My favorite fuzz sound is from Matt. Actually, I traded him a pedal for this thing called a Zvex Mastertron. It is a gated fuzz,
Ooh.
and I found that for bass, which is what I play in every band I'm in, is a gated fuzz does something where it hits much harder. And because you can pick where your gate is, the second you let the attack off of the string or mute it, your signal cuts out. So you can have the most melt your face off fuzz, and if you don't want it to make any noise, you can mute your strings and let go, and it's completely silent.
Yeah,
and then the
it's pretty
second
tight.
you hit it, it just explodes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that about a good fuzz pedal.
Yeah.
It's
And it is
control,
a square, brutal Velcro ripping apart sounding
Yeah.
as you can imagine. But then because of the gate that's installed on it, and it being a very good gate, it's
What's
easy
the
to
name of it
control.
again?
Mastatron.
Mastatron?
I believe it's a clone of an earlier pedal, but I took it apart, and it's pretty much just a modded tone bender.
Wow.
It uses the 2 transistor setup to make its fuzz. but I believe their gate is what's on it, and they use that gate on many pedals that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But it really just it's called a put. You can control the square wave of it, like the length of it, and that's like where you control your Velcro-y sound, and then you can control the push or pull of it, which is the gate, and that's super cool.
The gate, like a noise gate, is one of those. I would say it and like a compressor, like a good compressor. That's where you know, like your nerd drum is like really into it.
Yeah.
It's like that's such an awesome feature to have that is not readily available on a lot of distortion pedals. They like the sustain is normally what they go for because that's that's the big swinging dick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Exactly.
But the noise gate, I would much rather have a pedal that has a good noise gate on it than good sustain on it.
And what's cool about it, as long as you're holding the note, it'll keep that going even after your strings quit moving. If you never change the dynamic on it, it'll hold that out like infinitely. But then the second that it feels the signal mute, it'll cut, just a hard cut, and you can blend that together as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So what will be your number 2?
I have this pedal that is. A lot of people are in the nerd community are surprised I use it for bass, but it just made sense. Moog, they did a mini series, like like the Moog Mooger Fooger pedals that have the big wood walls.
Yeah.
It's Mooger Foger. They did a mini Foger, and it's an overdrive pedal, but it also has a gate built into it. It has the Moog gain stage, which is what they use in their synths. So, like, for bass tones, the low end retains on it. You don't lose it like you do with some distortion pedals. Like this, I mean, it just really makes it sound, you almost get that, like, synthy drive sound to it. And then it also has a frequency adjuster on there that can give a big amount of boost to a certain range. And so I'll boost the mids on it, especially for You'll Never Die, because with it just being one guitar and one bass, I cover a lot of the lower range that like having a rhythm guitarist would do.
Right.
So I keep a lot of rhythm going with that and staying with Matt, and at the same time playing like a little lead part that adds to what Jake's doing, but also just trying to really drive the music itself.
Yeah, especially with that sun head, there's a lot of trebly sounds, like brighter sounds too.
Yeah. The amp that I use has a treble booster built into it. It's an old 60s Sun concert bass, which I got very lucky.
Well, it has the red logo on the front?
No, this is the silver face.
Okay.
They had a silver first and then the red.
Yeah.
A lot of metal people want the red ones, but I prefer this silver face.
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
It's a much cleaner sound. It sounds more like the amp rather than just having like a little bit of hair to it.
I got you.
And it does exactly what you want it to, especially with that treble booster. Like for some reason on bass, it just sounds very boring if I'm not turning that on. But like harmonics are so rich, like
especially from that thick sound of a bass string.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
When it hits, like it's just like it's a feedback that like most people think of feedback as like cover your ears, but like the way that a single coil feeds back through like a wall of speakers and like that air moving from that, like you were talking about ASMR earlier. Like I could just sit there and listen to it. Like just like stand in front of it, or like an old jazz master with like some badass pickups in front of a tube head. We'll do that same thing where like you just let the guitar go woo, and it just sounds like the gods are speaking to you. And then you put delay on that.
That's what got me away from the noise gate, like the noise suppressor, all that, those kinds of pedals. I mean, for heavier music, that's like you have a tuner and you have a noise suppressor. Of some sort, you know?
Yeah.
But I like having that full control of what's going on with like from the guitar to the speakers, and just keeping it as like even with the modulation from the pedals. Kind of bare bones at the same time, because I wasn't even into guitar pedals until I started playing with Jordan and Matt.
I know. Yeah.
I played with Dying Well with Matt for what, like over a year?
Yeah,
2
you
years?
just used my pedals.
Yeah, it was just like Matt's like, you need to use this because this is how it sounds like recorded. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I came into that with I didn't even have a tuner pedal.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And then you bought the worst tune pedal of all time. It had a tone to it. Like, if it was on the board, it sounded bad.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, I'm not going to buy another tuner, so I guess this is what the guitar sounds like. It sounds like this tuner.
It was so bad, and then it turned into a pedal snob.
Yeah, but you did have that Sound Tank Ibanez.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
Speaking of those little black pedals.
It's a flanger, and it gets. I can get some of the craziest noises from it that are not practical at all. It's not like using a flanger for what people normally use flangers for.
Yeah, like 90s. Just not that.
No. I dime everything and use it as an accent pedal. So it's, playing our weird abrasive dissonance and a hit with, that's exactly what it is.
It's almost like a bird whistling in your ear.
Yeah.
I like doing that with chorus pedals as well. Ibanez, the silver ones they put out in the era of nu metal, they did a chorus flange duo that you could switch between the two.
The Ibanez pedals where you push in the knobs.
Yeah.
Tone lock.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there were buttons,
That, my favorite delay ever is the D7, and that's one of them. Where you push in the knobs.
JHS did an episode and included that last week.
I know.
And the prices doubled overnight.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb, dude.
This guy that owns this pedal company, JHS, has started a web series, and every Friday he releases a new series. And, like, every once in a while, it's, like, shamelessly, like, showing off his stuff. But 90% of the time, he's, like, nerding out on, like, showing off his droves of pedals. And
it's like if we were famous in this conversation. Like, everything we just talked about would be expensive.
Yeah.
But no one's going to get the metal muff after this.
No. But you can... It's disgusting because every time he mentions a pedal, like, the guitar community explodes and buys it. Yeah. And so I've made a lot of money from, like, things that had depreciated in value, and they'll show up on the episode, and I'll, like, just watch the reverb listings climbing and climbing and climbing, and I just list it for sale because I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
that's like that same Ibanez series. I found a lo-fi, I guess it's a gain pedal. It's almost like a lo-fi preamp type thing in a box.
It's the worst thing in the world.
There's no use for it whatsoever. Like, I've tried it with the guitar. I tried it with the drum brute, like drum machine. Like, what can I get some cool sounds out of it?
Did you know that was my first pedal ever?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
A lo-fi?
Yeah, the Ibanez lo-fi was my first pedal.
With the bronze emblem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, you got really good harmonics, like, off of that lo-fi. That was like the one thing I was like, ooh!
So I picked one up for less than $50 locally, and saw the prices online, and people are flipping them for like $150.
The lo-fi pedal?
Yeah.
People are so stupid. Why would you buy that pedal for more than $1?
I don't know.
I would pay more than $1 for that pedal. Because I used to have it and I lost it. That was one of those pedals where I was like, fuck man, I lost all my
You can do that with an EQ pedal though. That's the thing that's crazy about
it's really bad.
The way that these things get exciting. If you have a 10-band EQ, you can do the same thing by just removing the right
you can give
frequencies.
yourself a bandpass filter.
Yeah.
You totally can, but if I want to use a lo-fi on my nice disco smile, or not to give away my secrets or anything, but like I like to do my subtractive EQing usually in the subwoofer range, so like around like 80 hertz on down. I'm like get rid of it, like the bass will take care of everything, and then adjust around like from like 80 to like 100 as needed, depending on what the bass is doing. But then I'll give myself a little boost around like 200, and then I'll scoop depending on where things like my voice is falling or strings, like other string instruments, and I'll cut out usually about like 3 dB or so, like with a nice little disco smile around like 1K, 900K, somewhere in there.
Yeah. That's super interesting. Like, people don't think about that when they're like writing music or like writing their vocal parts. They're like, where do the sonics of my voice, where does that sit in the mix?
Yeah.
And once you start thinking that, you're like, oh, that's weird. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a big. It's the same for me. I use EQ the same way, except I take and cut everything. Like imagine completely flat EQ, and then I boost 30 by about 6, and then I take 60 just a bump above that, 120 just below that, and everything else flat.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll dip mids just a little bit, but that's coming straight from my bass to my pedal board. And then I hit all of my effects.
Yeah.
And I usually have like a tube screamer type pedal on right after that. And then that immediately takes care of the mids, but you're getting the mid tone from the pedal itself rather than your bass.
Interesting.
And so it gives it like a huge bark.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with the band Jesus Lizard.
Whenever I was in the Columbia House days and, entering contracts as a minor that you can't enter with the business, so you get all these free CDs. And not that I ever did that. But no, I never listened to them much. I've heard them a little bit, but when I was started getting into like 90s alt and 90s grunge and metal and all that stuff.
Didn't we get compared to them one time?
Yeah. That's a
couple times.
My bass tone is, I will shamelessly admit that I am ripping off Jesus Lizard or Shellac. Like, those are my two biggest influences when it comes to a tone.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and it is very specific. And so, like, it's funny, like in Valdosta, like the little kids here that you can tell aren't quite developed, they'll be like, I don't know if I like that. And like all the touring bands are like, whoa, you did it.
Dude, yeah, even like, I mean, played a lot more music, a lot more often before I left a few years ago for the military, and I was playing in bands since I was, young high school, and never really got compliments on sound. And then just playing in this, like, fun band, we play with touring bands, and they're like, dude, what's up with your guitar setup? That sounds fucking awesome. Just high mids and highs, like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the Josh Holmes sound.
Mm-hmm.
That's I've done a lot of studying on him, and
Yeah,
pretty much he
me
does
too.
the exact same thing. His front EQ is boost bass coming off of the guitar, and everything else is mid all the way up. So everything will be level, and every mid frequency will be as high as it can get all the way through his pedal board. Then when it hits his preamp on his amplifier, nothing but mids, everything else is flat. And then when it hits the board off the microphone, nothing but mids straight up. Like, that's what makes that sound like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, because like the guitar and a lot of string instruments, they fall into that same range the human voice falls
sure
into.
does. Yeah.
So like I think about stuff like back in the day, like orchestral music with string, like Vivaldi and stuff, which is fucking gorgeous. But it's like it hits your ears in a similar way to that pretty singing hits your ears. You know what I mean? Like at least for me, it gives me that same tingle. And I would wager it's because it's targeting those same cilia in my ear, microscopic hairs that they're for a specific frequency, right? Mm-hmm. So like having an idea as far as like how you want to sound can be, at least from the nerdy aspect of like what we're talking about, is almost more fundamental than what you're writing itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Sometimes I definitely get caught in that. I'm like, oh, I didn't write a song, but I've been perfecting my tone for hours.
yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay to that.
It's like it's like coming up with a recipe. You know what I mean? But like sonically, and finding a way to make it all fit in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
That's a big thing, is bands actually are able to sit in the right places in the EQ, especially playing live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That don't rely on the house to do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, go fuck with your preamp, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah, it happens to me a lot. Every time the drummer of Dying Whale, every time he gets new cymbals, I'm like, okay, well, I gotta fit into this mix better.
yeah.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like,
Otherwise, you're gonna hurt your audience. Like,
Yeah.
especially with the higher end of stuff. You know, like you're aside from the wall of sound, but what you don't want to like induce tinnitus in the audience. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
We recommend earplugs.
I bought some. I just don't wear them.
It's hard doing vocals with earplugs.
I can't do it.
I can't. I've tried so hard.
Yeah, well, because you
Can't-
stop hearing. I stop
or
hearing
won't.
everything else. I just hear myself
Well,
yeah.
yelling. It's not even singing. So
Yeah.
it's not even
I mean,
like,
are
let
you
me
trying
focus
to
on
be
this.
in
I don't need to
tune?
focus at all. But I do need to hear the rest of the music because I'm still playing an instrument.
yeah, it,
So-
it messes me up a lot. And this is unrelated to You'll Never Die and Dying Whale stuff. I do vocals, and like I'm using different parts of my throat. And with earplugs in it, you can actually like hear your. It freaks me out. I can hear my muscles moving around in my throat,
Yeah, man.
in my ears. I'm like, ooh, that's not good for me.
Yeah.
And I'll like start like performing different, and I'm like, I'm just gonna not hear myself forever. I'm just gonna lose my hearing, which is fine.
No, that's priority one is my head earplugs.
Yeah,
I've
I'll
worn
never
them for
wa-
so long. I've had a couple of ear issues where like I lost my hearing whenever I first really got into playing music. Like in my mid 20s is like when I really picked it up, and it was when I had started with Loomis Orange, and I had had some ear issues, and we had a practice, and my ears were like I couldn't hear right. Like I had water in my ears or something. And the next day, I went to take a shower, so I poured some peroxide in my ears because it was still acting up. And it like both of them closed up, and then like it felt like they were opening constantly. And then that day around 1, my ears just quit working. Couldn't hear anything. Went completely deaf for a second. Like started freaking out, and then the world just went. And I fought with extreme dizziness for about 2 or 3 days. Like I was throwing up and everything. I had to walk with a cane, and then like every like couple of days it would come back, and I would just get super dizzy.
I remember when
Yeah.
that's happening to you.
Ever since then, I wear earplugs like crazy.
Yeah.
The doctors never figured out what happened. I didn't make it to a ENT for like 2 or 3 weeks after it happened, and they're like, "Well, you can hear again now." And I was like, "Yeah, but why?" Like,
Yeah.
like it had all come back. But like,
Yeah.
that's the scariest thing I've ever experienced. And ever since then, I'm like very careful with my hearing.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
I threw in the towel a long time ago.
Yeah, I still watch bands with earplugs. Like I have those eargasms.
Yeah, that's what I've got. Definitely watching bands live, it's better. You can actually hear there's a lot less of that like bleeding over of things fighting each other in the sound and the EQ.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you get your ears molded, you can probably get earplugs like made where you don't miss out on the sounds when you're playing.
Yeah,
But that's also money.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that before shows start again. But like,
I saw some people pricing it out at about $120 total, like $40 for the molds and then $80 for the actual earplugs.
yeah,
I guess we spend money on pedals like that.
Yeah.
yeah,
It-
and we won't
it
hear
would
those
make
pedals.
sense.
Why
if we
would
don't
you
get it.
invest in something that actually like helps you on a
Right.
good level? Like,
Yeah, get rid of your gym membership. Just buy some
Yeah.
pedals.
I've been trying to. I can't even figure out how to get rid of my gym membership at this point.
Yeah.
That's been a struggle.
See if they'll trade it for some pedals when you go
Yeah,
there.
probably could.
Yeah.
Do you use a power supply?
Oh,
Power
that's.
supply.
Oh, let's
This
get into
If
that.
you do use a power supply, what do you use?
I
Is
do.
it isolated?
I do not. I should.
Use a one spot daisy chain.
Totally.
Me too.
Totally.
I did that for a very long time.
As you can see, you're in my studio. This is where all the magic happened for all the masterpieces that I've made.
I use like the next step up, which is like just as shitty.
What's that?
It's a power supply where it has individual things coming off of it, but it's not truly isolated. So like it's still sharing a negative ground, I believe. So you can get a little bit of noise in it, but it's a little bit easier to do than a daisy chain, I found.
Lee was talking to me about the whichever one he was using when we did Stupid Girls, and he
Probably
had
the voodoo.
Yeah.
like he was breaking down like why this one was like most quiet one that he'd run into, and like, no joke, man. Like Lee's records sound fantastic.
Mm-hmm. That room sounds.
Well, he's really smart, man. Like to not to kiss his ass, but to like his own credit.
I mean,
like he's a brilliant fucking dude. Like
think of how many hours he has sitting behind that computer, like
learning,
figuring it out. I mean, it's like 20,000, 30,000 hours, 100,000 hours of doing it. Like I mean, he is a master of his craft.
He's got 2 decades worth of experience with it. I've met like a lot of like cats in like his industry, not tooting any horns or anything, but like he's one of the best ones though. Mm-hmm. Like I've met folks that are just like, yeah, I've worked with this and this and this, and I listen to records and like that ain't as badass as fucking Lee Dice is. Like just
can't he can polish a turd so well.
And he has.
He's polished more than one of my turds.
I heard something about one of the local bands in the past year went and recorded with him and said they didn't like the mix, and I was just like, you shouldn't be recording any of your songs then.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't like the mix that this guy's giving you, then
my question to them would be, were you in the studio on mix day? Because that's where these decisions you want should happen, you know? Like that was always any bands that I record with Lee, I was the guy that was just like there with him on the mix day as well. Just been like cool, so can we do this, and can we like all the like stuff we're talking about as far as noise gates and sustain and equalization and all that.
Right.
I didn't know what they were, but like this guy was like on some shit, man. He had been doing it at probably like 5 years at that time, maybe. Mm-hmm. He was still on Valdell. At
the trailer.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And his fucking neighbors, they had like I think like a Dimebag Daryl flag or something like that.
That's fucking awesome.
I like Pantera.
Yeah.
Dude. And I compiled a list once of the 10 heaviest songs to me. And the only one I had that I said was in a particular spot was number 1, which is Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath.
Oh,
that's
your heaviest
of all time. Yeah, absolutely, Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. But then other ones I had there had like Slip It In by Black Flag. I had XYU by Smashing Pumpkins. But I had I'm Broken by Pantera. It's just got this fucking riff right from the get-go where it's like
it's probably my favorite sound check riff of all time. And what's funny is I don't even know what notes they are. I just go wow. Maybe a 5, maybe a 4 fret. I don't know.
There was some show. It was a house show I did with you years ago, and you just started playing "Fight for Your Right to Party," and like doing a mic check, and then like I saw the mic was on, and I just did the kick it, and then like went into the whole thing.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, it was good. It was good times.
Yeah,
it was good times.
Yeah, that's honestly my favorite thing about being in a band is sound check. Everything else is just like whatever, but like. Sound check, especially when you're in a town where no one knows who you are, you just make an ass out of yourself before you start playing.
Taking Back Sunday sound check.
Oh, yeah.
So many times.
Every Dying Whale show you played, Taking Back Sunday sound check.
We'd like be finished with sound check, and it's like right before Matt would start saying everybody come inside, and I'd just start playing. Was it Cute Without the E?
It always was.
And then when people didn't start coming inside, it was just like, I'll just keep playing this. Like, it doesn't fucking matter.
Anytime we played at a church,
yeah.
you play Taking Back Sunday for at least 5 minutes.
Did we get asked to not come back to that church?
Not with drunk Clay, no.
Was,
Clay got really drunk that day.
I think everybody in the band was on one that day except for you.
Oh yeah, it wasn't good.
Was it M&M's? We were throwing in a fan. We were using a fan to project M&M's at each other.
Inside of a church.
Yeah, in roller chairs. So like me and it was Joey. We were like,
It was me too.
yeah. We're in chairs and somebody's throwing the M&Ms and they're like breaking, but there's like fragments flying and it's just like slide across the room and try and catch them in your mouth.
And there was like 15-year-olds too that were like tattled on us. And we're like,
Some chicks.
come on, we're literally cleaning it up with our mouths.
Yeah. Like if you miss one, you pick it up off the floor and you eat it. Like fuck it, dude.
Yeah.
Some chicks like, you guys should really stop. That's immature. So, have fun.
Honey, COVID hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
We can lick whatever we want.
If only you knew what was going to happen 8 years down the road.
Right.
This is a church. This floor is clean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They mopped
What
the
has been
floor.
done here? Were you snacking on a pizza? Like,
Yeah.
Isaiah, are you throwing M&Ms into the fan? Isaiah!
Oh,
where in that Bible did it say that you could have AC in here?
But nothing!
What's y'all's favorite thing that you've ever done? Like, what's your favorite performance?
Like a show?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I've got one. Will always be my favorite. That time we played in Gainesville. And,
Which show? Were we on tour with Carnivores of Grace?
maybe.
Or
It was the venue
or
that-
Frameworks?
They had the projector that they were playing movies without the audio
Uh-huh.
behind the bands and Dead Man was on while we were playing. And I was just like not facing the crowd the entire show.
Oh yeah. No, we weren't on tour.
I was super stoned.
Mm-hmm.
And just not there that night. And I was just like, I'm gonna watch Dead Man the entire time we're playing.
We played a clean song that show. That's the only
Yeah.
time we ever played that song you wrote.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was a fun show.
Everyone
clean
messed
as
up
in
that
tone?
song besides you and me.
Clean as in tone or as
Yeah.
in like, okay.
Yeah. Clean as in, no curse words.
Right.
Guys, we know we're in a church, so this
That
next
never-
song's
that-
called You and Your Ink Horse.
Did we play that Danzig cover at that church?
No, that was. We only played that Danzig cover when we didn't have enough songs, because,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, we didn't learn the set.
Did we play at that venue down in St. Pete?
Ooh. That's going to be your favorite show?
Is that my favorite show? That might be I kicked a hole in the wall.
Yeah, that was good.
Did your fucking stuck?
Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah.
I
That's
felt
the best time when someone kicks their foot through something
No,
that sticks.
It was like behind me, I'm like rocking out, whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna push off this wall because I ran into it, and I went to like kick off of it, and my foot would just like disappear. Like, oh god!
Yeah. That was
So
good.
did you just fall face forward, or
Like fell out of the wall.
And
did you? How many chords or notes did you miss from the?
I probably missed every note that entire set.
Yeah, Jake didn't play notes when well.
It is now becoming apparent that Colter has never seen a You'll Never Die show.
Yeah, Dying Well was what like I'd like stumble into the last song and like halfway through the last song just start breaking my guitar. That was a set.
Yeah.
I've rebuilt a few of Jake's guitars for him, and it is insane how strong guitars are. Like,
Yeah.
I'll find these cracks that I didn't realize were possible to put in a guitar that way. Like, where the neck pocket isn't breaking at the neck pocket, but the guitar itself is trying to break in half. Just run a few dowels through it, a little bit of wood glue, and he's good as new.
Shit. There was some band. It was when I was interning with Lee for a couple months. I think I was like 22, and there's this band in from. I want to say Bainbridge, but it may have been Tally. I'm not sure, but they were like a pop punk band, but like
That's Tally.
heavier than like a lot of the pop punk bands that came out of Tallahassee, though. Not like they were a lot heavier, like Mayday Parade or Go Radio and like all that stuff. But this guy, this drummer, his name was Brad. Super nice guy, really funny, madly talented. Broke an SM57 microphone, the like like karate chopped it with a drumstick from just playing drums.
Yeah.
You can use an SM57 as a fucking hammer. Like you can use this thing as a hammer to nail something into a wall. And this guy fucking Miyagi'd this shit with a fucking drumstick. Like, just destroyed this microphone.
That's wild.
I have no idea how he did it, man. Like, even Lee was, like, astounded. He's like, huh? Never seen that before. He's like, looking at it.
That's crazy.
I've never smashed a guitar.
I've smashed too many.
Yeah, it's not even fun, you know?
No.
Like, I lit a guitar on fire playing a show once. I was like, this isn't even fun, but I need to do it. It's super weird.
I've burned paintings before, and I've even dropped paintings in a fire where I'm like, oh shit, that wasn't supposed to be in that pile. Well, it's gone now. I might as well enjoy it.
Nice.
Alright, now it's really gone.
Nice.
Fuck it, more paintings. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, smashing a guitar is weird. Because you're like, oh, that's gone, but I needed to do it, so it happened.
Yeah, I love gear so much, and like I started getting into music like past my mid-20s, so I was able to buy nicer stuff. So I kind of never hit the phase of wanting to break something that I'd invested money into.
yeah.
But I do look at bands like Place to Bury Strangers. Like
Unreal.
they travel with 7 incredible Jaguars and break all 7 of them every night. And then he takes them and glues them back together. Like image, like
We've definitely done that.
on their way to the next
tours.
show, he pulls the screws out of the neck, and then we'll wood glue them together, clamp them together, put the guitars back together, screw the neck back on, string it up, and play it again the next night, and smash it a new way the next night. Like
Shit, man.
Ridiculous.
he also, we've been heavy on pedals. He owns Death by Audio.
Oh, cool.
He is the owner of Death by Audio pedals, and
That's cool.
I finally got a pedal.
yeah.
I got so Reverb's doing the pedal movie, because the guitar pedal, guitar basically, the effects pedal market has just skyrocketed over the past 5 years, 5 to 10 years, where it's like all these boutique brands, and it's become this whole thing that you know, subreddits, you know, Facebook groups where it's just like, let's literally just blow loads over
Right.
what the fuck. But so
shoes.
yeah. So they got this movie coming out next year, and as like an advertisement type thing, they had 2 collaborative pedals that came out. It was the Bliss Factory, so that was Chase Bliss Audio, and ZVEX was kind of like Chase Bliss, their take on the ZVEX Fuzz Factory. And then
That's pretty cool.
Zachary Vector is this the dude's name that does ZVEX? So they just all of them working together. And didn't the guy that started Chase Bliss, he actually started working for ZVEX, so it was like a throwback for him.
Yeah.
Too.
Wow.
Yeah, which I was not dropping $400 on that.
See, I put it in my
That's
cart.
a big investment.
No,
For
it's
me,
a huge
anyway.
investment, because guess what the pedals go for now? $900. The
So
you know,
cheapest
like,
one
dick, dude.
online.
Oh my
The
God.
PlayStation,
Yeah.
the PlayStation 5 thing that's happening, where all those people bought them up, and same thing happened with those pedals.
Scalpers.
Scalpers. Yeah.
Capitalism.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there was another pedal that got released. It was called a Time Shadow, and that was with Earthquaker Devices, which is an awesome company, and Death by Audio, which is they're all their pedals are just ridiculous. The modulation, they have like delay pedals that have a full like square fuzz circuit in them.
That's
so
awesome.
Your feedback trails from your delay have this square wave that's also modulated on top of that. Just really crazy things. But the Time Shadows is like, it's got 2 sides to it. One is Earthquaker Devices working with it's like a fuzz type.
It's a fuzz through a delay through a flange.
Yeah, through a filter. And so you control the filter. It's crazy, like a wash sound. And
You know, like back in the day, the Pog and the what was the other one? The was it a Zoom? It was like the gray guy that had 2 foot pedals in it.
Zoom.
yeah,
Like, and they were always like, and Line 6, like some of their pedals, they were always like ridiculed. What's funny is like those quirky sounds that they produced are like so prevalent in modern music.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So Zoom has come back full circle, and they've released a new. Excuse me. A new pedal that they call the Multi-Stomp, which is their new take on it. And the company that owns Zoom now owns everything. I mean, everything's owned by one person now. So that company, Zoom is higher up in that company than the other companies that they now own, that they've purchased up and everything.
Right.
So Zoom now has the rights to algorithms that are in much more expensive line of pedals like Strymons and Eventides and stuff like that. So they've released a multi-stomp pedal that now has these algorithms built into it, so it's the same fidelity. But this pedal, it comes with 120 effects built into it, but you can now chain them together. So you can do like a reverb into a distortion, into a flanger, into a delay pedal, into another reverb, and that one pedal now makes that sound. And so
that's really fucking ingenious.
Here's where it gets even better. People have created a third-party app that you can download onto your computer, and they are creating algorithms and copying these high-end pedals that cost $300, $400. You can buy this $100 Zoom pedal and then copy and paste that algorithm into the pedal and have it. Like, it's like Napster for guitar pedals.
It is, yeah.
I love it so much.
It's incredible.
I bought one, and it really satiated the need to like buy the weirdest thing that you can, because it's like, I can make whatever I want with this by combining anything.
Right.
Like, so.
Holy shit.
I got on Reddit last night and I was like, so has anybody made a Time Shadows algorithm yet? Because that pedal that Jake's talking about, the collaboration between Earthquaker and Death by Audio, was $200 when it came out. But now the cheapest one you can buy is $400. Like, I mean, it's the whole culture of like buying and selling. Like,
it has gotten like pretty like absurd. I'll say like in the past couple of years. I noticed.
Absolutely.
Like where like the little micro synth I got, I've had it now for not quite a decade, but like it's getting older. You know what I mean?
I guarantee you it's worth more than what you paid for.
Oh yeah, man. Like, and this little guy, it's flipped over. This may be in the shittiest category of pedals.
Oh yeah,
No,
I used to have
that
one of
one
those.
The
skyrocketed. It got mentioned on a JHS.
No way,
Yeah.
that pedal sucks.
the boss bass chorus, horrible.
That was my second
No,
pedal.
the EQ on that thing's pretty sweet.
This little guy,
Is that
Donner,
it?
is a low compressor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That little guy's pretty good.
I'm a Donner guy. I have 2 Donner pedals now.
The first pedal I ever made was a compressor, and it was an optical compressor.
This is one of these Japanese Ibanez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
pitch.
series
I think
is
it's
so
pitch
cool.
flanger is what it's called.
You could-
Swell flanger.
Swell
which
flanger.
is-
There you go.
you could-
Oh, it's
fucking
swell,
awesome.
all right.
Which means that,
You could sell that and make a car payment right now.
yeah, that's
I got that. I missed out. It was at what's his name's Danny's Music, and
I love him so much.
I was just talking with him because I bought another synth pedal that the Synth 9, pretty cool, not too durable, but cool nonetheless. But he was telling me about. He's like, well, he's like, I listened to you play that synth pedal. You played it pretty well. I ain't heard too many people play a synth pedal.
You sound like him so well.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you, sir. He's like, this you might find interesting. He puts this suitcase on the table, opens it up, and there's 16 of these, each a different one.
Shut the.
And he's
So
like,
I've been trying to figure out where he keeps getting them, because I bought the DL10, the delay
Oh,
version
yeah?
of that, and it is.
I've-
sounds incredible.
I told him because I was like, I like Ibanez
It's a
stuff.
$150 pedal.
$25. Like he's like, I'll let you have the whole thing for $150. And I was like, man, that's a fucking deal, dude. I was like, but I just bought this. I was like, tell you what, let me get one. I'll come back like next time I got money.
Yeah.
If you still got it, and I'll get the whole thing if I like it. He's like, oh, sounds like a deal. I go in, he's like, fella came in, bought the other 15 about 2 hours ago. I was like, no!
That is fucking.
So I'm not sure. I know that he is a very conservative Christian, I'm pretty sure Holiness. I wonder if they use the internet. Because I've gotten some
Oh,
things.
yeah, I know.
I have gotten some deals where I'll call Matt
Yeah.
or Jake afterwards. Like, he'll be like, "This one just, I don't like the way that they did the graphics on it." I'm trying to do that. I can't.
That's like the
He's like, and it makes the worst noises. And it was a Earthquaker Devices Rainbow Machine, which
God.
sounds exactly like the name. And I got it for $80, and they're like 200 beat up. Like,
yeah.
With no box or anything.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
But it's funny. Like, there's been so many things like that. I just traded him a Jazzmaster that I paid $350 for a $900 Gibson SG. Like,
Yeah.
Well, like the T60, I paid like $600 and some change, and that, I mean, that's like, if for people that are all about T60s, that's like the holy grail model.
It is.
You know,
Absolutely.
and I could sell that in better condition than I've left it.
Jake let a child smash his guitar.
It definitely did.
This kid was like, "Hey, can I slam your guitar on the concrete?" It's like, "Fuck it, dude. Have at it." Oh my god. It chipped it, knocked some wires loose, but that was about it. Still plays.
You're a more compassionate man than I am. I'm like, get the fuck away from me.
The whole breaking of instruments, I don't know. It kind of stems for me from like not trying to be attached to
Materialism.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the old punk, whatever.
I get that perspective. I don't know. I think personally, I would just find like sacrilegious for me to like hurt a guitar.
Yeah.
Like oh my god, dude! Like at a show, the headstock off that guy, that used to be the most favorite acoustic instrument I had, and then at a show, unintentionally, I don't know how, I wasn't slamming it down or around or anything, but the headstock on the last chord just disappeared.
Oh,
I was like, what?
In that case, I would have smashed the fuck out of it.
Oh,
That thing betrayed you.
No, I didn't. An album under the name Sodomy Hussein. Me and the guy eating cereal right next to that guitar. That was the acoustic guitar that was used on every song. This little guy, this Behringer vintage phaser. It is not a very versatile phaser. You have speed, and then you can determine do you want bassy or not bassy phaser. But it is a fantastic.
What clone is that?
That is a small stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A small stone clone.
So
that's fun to say.
Well, what's funny
And
is
it's a
Electro
soft switch.
Harmonix calls it.
And it's a soft switch. Get the fuck
So is
out of
Electro Harmonix. They all use relay switching. So the circuits that these utilize are super simple. And whenever I first got excited about building pedals, which I got over very quickly because I don't have enough time. I've got a 2-year-old. I used to be able to spend a night putting together a pedal and soldering together capacitors, resistors, and everything else to make the different sounds that I wanted.
Right.
But now I'd rather pay for it. I've reached a point where money's way easier to come by than time.
Right.
But I was buying up old vintage Electro Harmonix stuff because the circuits were so simple. So my biggest searches on... Oh, I thought that was a candle. I've got a great story about 15 years ago whenever I was smoking weed like a true college student. We were passing the bong around and I had a beer bottle in my hand and I had reached a point where I was so stoned that I was talking holding both and I set the bong down and then tried to light my beer bottle. Back to the story. It's way easier to fix these things. It's super surprising how simple the circuit is.
Mm-hmm.
So all of my eBay searches used to be for broken Electro Harmonix, old vintage
That's pretty
stuff.
cool.
And so I have all these pedals that I bought up that I paid $30 or $40 for that are normally very expensive. since they weren't working, you change out a resistor or a new knob inside of it, and now you have a working $200 pedal that has like the vintage tone that like someone like Jimi Hendrix was working with. You know?
Right.
Like, so those are always super fun to work on and try to kind of, for a beginning person with pedals, like going through schematics and just pulling out a little tester and like being like, all right, works. Like you've got 20 parts in there, so it's not insane to just like check each little part and be like, all right, that one's not working. You unsolder it and solder a new piece in there, and then you have it going.
I've got a head, a line 6 head, but it's
I love where this is going.
Throw it away.
It's got some nice tubes in it. It also has a solid state interface with it as well.
The Bogner.
Is that the Bogner tubes? Yeah. But it's got a bum master reverb control arm or control switch or whatnot. So it's still disassembled, but I just it's like, all right, well, what am I spending time investing money and time into? And I'm not like playing shows. I'm not anticipating like using it for quite a while. So it's just I got my nice little Princeton reverb. I got it's super springs in it. They sound top notch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just got my Dream small amp like repaired by the legendary Mike Tappan.
Mike Tappan.
Mike Tappan.
I want to get Mike on the show.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I want to be a fly on that wall.
He had I forget who it was. Maybe it was Ian. It was at one of his bands, but he had this like bizarre pedal, and it was like creating this fuzz, but like kind of had like almost like an octave tone with it as well. I was like, that's a really peculiar pedal. He's like, yeah, Mike made it. I was like, you fucking made this? I had never met anybody that like made a pedal before. I was like, oh my god, it's so fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I had that kind of fucking skill.
My favorite thing that he's done, he took a delay pedal that was a clone of Electro Harmonix or Earthquaker Devices Ghost Echo.
Yeah, those are like holy grails now.
Yeah, they're super sweet, but Mike's is way fucking cooler because he added a second switch onto it, and when you hit that second switch, it makes a closed feedback loop between the delay circuit and your guitar, and you make your volume control controls the pitch of the closed feedback loop, which is essentially like a synth. So basically, it just starts feeding back into itself. And you can use your guitar to change the tone of it.
That is the worst.
So you can play notes like a theremin almost with your guitar.
So it's working. It's like a what is it? The phase lock loop.
Yeah, like a PIL.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane, man.
But without a doubt. And I was like quizzing him a few times. Like I've always known Mike for a very long time, but as I got into music a little bit later in life, it felt like I wasn't sure what was cool to talk about, and knowing him as like a pedal wizard, once I started learning about it, I didn't want to be like annoying and bothering about it. Right. So every once in a while I'd like drop a hint, like asking a question about it, and he was like, dude, it's just this. And then I was like, I don't get how to do that. Like, he's definitely still a wizard enough to where it's like, when he blurted it out to me, I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Now I can do it. I just don't have the time. But like, it's rad that he has the ingenuity to take something and apply a simple concept to it that most people would normally overthink and not be able to do. And he's like, well, what if I just made it to where it locked in and fed back into itself, and then the control of that distance is the resistor inside of your volume pot.
Who do you guys think would have as far as their discography goes, the coolest pedal board? Like as far as their versatility, their range of the effects they use.
Like what band?
Yeah, band, guitarist.
Oh, wow.
What do you think, Matt?
I first obviously think Terramellos, but
that's
but
Yeah,
maybe
that
not.
definitely beats anybody. But like, what's your favorite band that's like maybe
Well,
that's
who's that? Terramellos?
Yeah, I would say like bass tone wise, probably Young Widows. Their bass player has. I remember that was the maybe 10 times I've watched a band without earplugs in on purpose because I'm like I'm never gonna hear this again. So I like pushed my way to the front and stayed right in front of their bass player and just like took my earplugs out and I was like, ooh, this hurts so good. Just super cool tones.
definitely that's that Jesus Lizard like perfection on that. Like someone taking like the foundation that they laid and being like, okay, and then I'm gonna tweak it into being mine.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with this band called Dive.
Yeah.
And they are without a doubt what started me on the road of obsession with pedals and like the different sounds and what led me into finding out about shoegaze. And like, I mean, I definitely didn't listen to any of the cornerstones that everybody would call shoegaze. That was my entry, and that was just a beautiful story of a record shop closed, came to my wife's record store and was like, I've got all these albums like that I'm not gonna sell. Can I sell them to you at a discounted rate? And she bought them, and she was like, "You see any of these that you want to check out?" And going through Spotify real quick, like seeing what all the awesome ones are, and Tangerine was on there, which was another incredible pop band that I found out. But Dive, like the first song I heard, I was like, it was a revelation for me. Like I don't know how often we find bands that change what we think is the best sound possible. And I mean, I feel like that it takes several years in between each of those bands as a musician where you find something where it's like, that is the only thing in the world that I want to sound like. And it's impossible. Yeah. And I've been stuck on it ever since. Like the way that the songwriter in that band, Zachary Cole Smith, writes is like a crazy, like a dreamy sounding guitar, super drenched in chorus delay and reverb, but like very unique to its own. Like it's weird, like how it hits all the check marks of something that should be stereotypical, but 100% sounds like him. Like I could pick his mix out of anything. Also on their first album, we were talking about like the different vocal ranges and like with guitars and tone and cymbals. He recorded his first album by himself and didn't use any cymbals. Like he used a ride to like tap and used a closed hi-hat, and everything else is all toms and drums because he wanted the vocals and the guitar to come out in that mix. Yeah. And he didn't want cymbals covering them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it, I suppose.
Yeah. I feel like a spoiled child because I'm such a fanboy of them, but they just released a podcast with everything being closed down because of COVID. They're trying to figure out a way to generate more money because while they're not like a giant band, they're popular enough to where like they got like a taste, and like now that it's been stripped away, they don't have anything, and so they're doing a podcast as a band and talking about their influential albums. And like I don't know if I haven't seen any other like full bands doing podcasts yet, but it's awesome to like they talk about themselves for like a third of it, and then they talk about an influential album for the rest of it, and then the last 10 minutes try to jam in the spirit of the album that they talked about.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
That's actually a really cool idea.
But I feel like they're giving away all their secrets, and I'm just like sitting there like at work prepping, just being like, oh, like
I love that.
Explain stuff.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. You're talking earlier about bass tones and harmonics on a bass one. There's a song by King Crimson called "I Talk to the Wind," and the first time I listened to it I had a head full of acid. I was like 23 or 24, and I had my headphones in, and what I thought that these notes that were being played were a clarinet or a flute or something.
Yeah.
And it was these harmonics on the bass, and then carefully blending in the harmonics with playing all the way up on the neck, but like very, very faintly, you know?
Yeah.
Just like masterfully done. And it's like the second track on the album. The first one, they're like go batshit crazy.
My mind just went blank. What's the guitarist from King Crimson?
The main guy is Robert Fripp. I don't know who the guitarist is. They've changed him out, but Fripp's like the main dude.
The
I'm not a
guitarist
name
is.
guy, I don't know.
I'm horrible with names. He also played with the Talking Heads. He toured with them for a long time.
I only know David Byrne from Talking
But
Heads.
he was the guitarist like in the 70s for the Talking Heads, and then in the 80s went on and played with King Crimson, and has done a bunch of others. It'll come to me later on in the podcast. I'll scream it out like I want a contest. But he's a huge pedal guy. Like even back like in the day with the Talking Heads, he was using like massive pedal boards before anybody else was, and it was all to make like the sounds of like a bird chirping. He would like be like making weird kind of
Talking Heads really pushed the envelope. They, I always liked them when I was like really little, and then I didn't realize that they're actually punk. You know, they came out of like, you know, the CBGB era, because you know I was always just raised like no, punk is like it's Ramones, it's Clash, it's hardcore. You know, because I always just met assholes that were punks, and that's what they listened to. I was like, all right, whatever, but. Then it was, you know, see, like old Talking Heads, like Talking Heads 77, and then all the way up to Remain in Light, the fourth album. Like, they were using, by that point, drum loops and dub with their music, where just one bass line would just, like, stay on for the whole song. But there was an outtake of it on Remain in Light called Fella's Riff, like Fela Kuti. Fela Kuti was the guy who pioneered Afrobeat, and he could play like the saxophone and the trumpet like crazy, like jazz licks and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever the guitarist is for Talking Heads was playing these like licks that were like
he
that.
wasn't always the guitarist. He did most of their tours, and I think he was only on a few studio albums later on outside of the original ones. But it was Adrian Belew was the name of the second album. I use my phone, guys.
Cheater. You didn't look at that
Cash
part.
out the bag.
So we were talking about Terra Mellos earlier, and I started Googling the name Adrian Belew because of him, and that's how I found out that he was involved in King Crimson and the Talking Heads and everybody. One of my more favorite things for 2019, his New Year's resolution was to quit using his Axe effects. He was using he had went on to using a multi-unit. I think he ended up using the Helix a lot more, and he was programming all of them into there off of his old pedals. And his 2019 resolution, he was like, I've gotten away from what I truly love. I am throwing away these units, and I'm only going to use regular pedals again. Which I thought was pretty cool.
That is super cool.
Matt, what is your favorite musical experience, like playing? Yeah, like a performance.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say listening, and it would have been Young Widows again. That was life changing.
Talking about a band that, like, when you hear it, it's like, oh, my perspective just changed on what good music is.
Yeah,
Young Widows was one of those for me.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good show. Like, I've played so many shows, it's hard to like think about it. Definitely playing Festus is super high, because it's like people you care about are in the crowd, and like that's really weird. Maybe it was playing Midland, Texas, where I played one of the worst sets of my entire life, but then the guy that owns our label signed us from that show. Maybe that one. My voice was just gone the whole time. He was like, your band's awesome, I want to sign you guys. I'm like, we sound way better than tonight. I swear.
That's prolific.
Yeah, super weird.
Which band was it?
Downwell. Yeah. We had a fill-in that was just did not know the songs. And then my voice was gone because we were in the dusty desert for days.
That dirty D, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the desert.
Yeah.
Personally.
You just came back from the
I know,
desert.
I just came back.
It's a different feel. I've only been in the desert out west, but it's a different feel out there, man. Like
I lived in I was stationed out in El Paso for 4 years, and so that was just that's high desert.
Yeah, that was pretty close to where we played that show. We played in Midland, Texas.
Yeah, that's like maybe an hour.
Yeah, maybe it's the last town before you hit El Paso for an hour.
Oh yeah, that stretch on Did you take the interstate? Or did you
It's like 3 hours of nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and then Midland, Texas, and then an hour, and then El Paso.
And then it gets back to civilization from there.
Yeah.
Las Cruces and
Yeah. I wouldn't even say Midland, Texas is a place, though.
No.
It's just like the last watering hole. And George Bush was born there.
I haven't been as far close to the border as El Paso. I've been to Fort Stockton. I think it's like 2 hours from it or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Texas is a whole bunch of nothing, and then it turns really pretty in orange.
Yep.
Like
It
in the
does.
western part of it.
That's one of those things. I was talking to friends. I was out in California for a month and some change because of work, and it was just like sleeping out in the desert for a month, and it's like, oh, it's kind of miserable, but at the same time, it's not. Like that's a whole different like ethereal experience.
Right.
When you're able to at night, it's fucking dead quiet, unless there's wind, and then you have the wind. It actually howls out there. It's wild.
It's so little light pollution too.
Exactly. I mean, you can see all the stars, all planets. Like you can tell by the color which planet you're looking at, which
so
is
crazy.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The moon looks bigger because there's less bullshit
Right.
to take away
Yeah.
from it, and I got to see a full moon also.
That's
It was
awesome.
a complete new moon cycle while I was out there, so that was really cool.
I'd like to go camping out in the desert.
That's I've never really been able to spend time in the desert out of pleasure. It's always been like military related. So
Right.
it's just kind of you get the small moments here and there where I can, but actually being able to go and spend a week out there would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my dream vacation, is to go and camp in the desert.
Yeah. Be a lot safer as far as predators than the mountains out west.
Yeah.
'Cause big bucket of fuck some grizzly bears.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
You have coyotes, but they're not. You just kind of have to be like, hey, fuck off.
Yeah.
And
A shotgun will take care of a coyote.
Yeah. A lot of the towns in Texas, the smaller towns,
Bonkers.
if you take them, if you go coyote hunting, you can bring them ears for cash.
No shit.
Wow.
Yeah, because they have a lot of livestock out there.
That's very Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any coyotes?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, we do. No time for chivalry, boy. Hand over the ears.
Yeah.
Just come back with a carabiner filled with them.
Good.
Yeah, the pictures that you were sending me back is just I want to go and see those beautiful formations where water is clearly washed away underneath these giant rocks that are now sitting on a pillar. There's nothing prettier to me.
No, it's a different America out there as well. You still got the rural quality that Valdosta kind of offers, where it's you can still find gas and McDonald's and water.
That's
pretty.
That's a full moon out there.
Wow.
It looks like the sun.
Yeah.
It's
pretty incredible.
What's your favorite performance that you
Oh man. Holy cow. That's nuts. Well, I don't know. That's a tough one, man. One of my favorite ones, it was the last show we did for a band I had in Jersey called Suicide Project. And it was Halloween, and we just played in our basement. And got dressed up, ate a lot of mushrooms, and tripped really hard. Not a lot of people. It was just it was us and our friends. They were in metal bands, and we were really a metal band. And we just we were more schizophrenic, I guess. But that one was really cool. But I don't know, man. There was this one show I did just up at the Blue Pub once, and my mom and dad came out, and it was just me solo, and I played for like about an hour or two, and that was really awesome. Just having my mom and dad come out and see a show because they hadn't seen me since I was like a teenager. So
Is that the one where you played the full album?
I might have. I'm not sure. I definitely played for a while. I know that.
I saw you play there a few times.
Yeah,
so.
I remember seeing you play like I think the latest album you had released at the time. Played it, like pretty much front to back, and I was just like, dude, this is fucking sick. Like, this guy is doing everything, and there's like there's a dialogue in there. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it was for an album I did. If you're going to hell, you should know why.
That's the one, yeah.
And yeah, my mom and dad came out, and I was like, I'll play the whole thing for them, for them being there. And then I even at the end, I was like, this is really cool. I was like, my mom and dad are fucking here. People were like, I was like, thank you for not getting the abortion. I know the doctor's really pushing it hard. My mom, she's like, oh, playing along, like, oh, no problem.
Yeah,
that's really funny. Yeah, anytime your parents come to a show is really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, your parents come to my shows.
It is though, man. Like my my dad, he always encouraged me, and he didn't force a guitar on me. He didn't, he would force me to do chores and stuff. But like he didn't reward me with like giving me like a second guitar, like an actual like nice guitar until like I've been playing for a while at this point. I wasn't singing around the house or anything. I was still bashful about that. Right. I still won't sing like in front of my parents unless I'm at a show. I don't go to their house. I'm like, Mom and Dad, yeah, so good to see you again.
That's like the worst shit when you're at like a family gathering and they're like, oh, pick up the guitar, play us something. I'm like, rather not.
Guitar sweeping.
Yeah. Let me talk to you about some things you shouldn't be proud about when it comes to me.
I would try to up the awkward ante. I'd be like, you guys want to talk about flat earthers or politics, religion?
Yeah. How do you feel about abortions?
There's this meme I saw where it's like a table like full of people. It's like 20 motherfuckers sitting at a table, and they're all looking at the camera, all looking at you. And it's like, oh, there's the rock star. Come play us a song.
Oh, God.
Oh, I feel that.
I was at this at my girlfriend's friend's house, and her friend was saying that like, oh, my husband's a musician too. He sings, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, dude. I was like, and she's like, go ahead, sing for him. And he's like, well, I really shouldn't.
Oh no.
And she's like, no, really, he's really good. And then he closes his eyes and he just starts singing like words, like as far as I can tell, it's not really a song. Like he would have impressed me more if he did "Row, Row Your Boat" or something. But he's just like, you burn and the fire grows.
All right.
And the fire burns.
Those lines.
Yeah. Like, I shit you not. Like, I'm doing a better job and better lyrics
yeah.
than this guy. But, like, I'm just sort of sitting there, and I can feel my jaw getting heavier. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I can feel the beard, like, pulling me down. And I'm trying to be polite, and then...
Please don't laugh. Please don't laugh.
After he's, like, done, like... My girlfriend and her friend, they start like clapping. I'm like, okay, like I'll clap too.
Clapped?
And then it's weird, dude, like fucking weird. And like afterwards, my girlfriend comes up to me and she's like, why did you sing along with him? I was like, what do you mean sing along with what? What song was that? It's like you should have sang along with him. He wanted you to sing with him. You should have harmonized with him. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? What was he singing? He's singing about the fire burns. Like this is some like weird shit, man.
I don't get it.
Is this Johnny Cash or is this like a church hymn?
This was like I was thinking more of the latter of those two.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like where I was just like I'm not getting like fundamental evangelical vibes, but this song is giving me some like creepy evangelical vibes.
How long is your services on Sunday? How long are you sitting there? How long are you on there for each day?
I have like a phobia of people singing. Like people like singing like
That, like-
heartfelt in front of even that little bit that you did. You were talking about like how your
Second
jaw
you-
dropped, but when you were doing it for me, like I get like arthritis of the jaw, like it hurts so bad. It's like no.
My fists clenched, dude.
Yeah.
Like even now, like I'm squeezing the shit out of this little baby guy,
It's
man.
the secondhand embarrassment. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, dude.
Let me describe how hard it is for people to sing to me. Whenever Jessica had Red Door, these missionaries from another country came in to the store and said, "Can we sing for you?" And Jessica looked at me, smiled, and said, "Yes." And I was like, no. And these four girls sang like harmonies, like treble tenor, like
Yeah.
it was so painful. And it was like a whole song. At the end of it, I went upstairs and threw up. That's how like I can't take it. And my wife knew that was gonna happen. She was like, "Absolutely, you should definitely sing." And like, I'm sitting there in a chair, like stuck, like my entire body's painfully hurting, and they're just singing to me, like in her, like from a.
Were you the only two in there?
Yes. It was when she was open for coffee. Like it was early in the morning, and I went upstairs and threw up. Like there's something about it. I don't know why. There's something.
I can kind of
broken in
relate
me.
though, man. Like I don't know exactly what it is, but like I've been around people before that like they can sing well, but they're like sing
No, the better
to
they can sing,
me.
the worse it is.
I
It's
completely
like
agree.
dehumanizing. It's like you know what? Fuck you, because I'm a terrible singer.
My spine just starts sweating, and like, and you'll never die. Like whenever we had a lead singer for our first show, and then he couldn't handle it and quit and joined the Navy afterwards. And then that's not really how it happened. I'm just being mean. He's very good friends. We were like, "So what are we gonna do?" And I was like, "Instrumental." And they're like, "No, we can't do that."
Yeah, we had
So,
so many
like,
repeating parts.
So then we tried to like add vocals, and like it took a lot. Like I'd never sang in a band before, and Jake's never done main vocals, and me and him bounce back and forth, and it's really becomes part of the.
I like that
percussive
with noisier bands because it's like, okay, you're not just trying to beat me over the head, and like you're both not just screaming at me. Where it's like, all right, man, unless you're the Blood Brothers, you're not gonna fucking impress me because
Yeah,
those
yeah.
cats fucking get my dick hard as
Yeah,
shit.
same.
It's like from
Rightfully
a
so.
different like astral plane of musicians.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whenever
Creativity.
you guys were talking earlier about the ambient music and explosions in the sky stuff, but like fuck you, you're not getting that. You're getting like this little like.
I was gonna say that the pedal board question that you were talking about, like explosion in the sky for sure. Mono would be the next closest as far as like bands that I know for a fact use a very extensive pedal board. I'm like, that's what I'm trying to emulate, but really only when I'm playing by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
My setup definitely changes with like whom I'm playing with and what we're playing.
Right, because there's a level of
100%.
practicality to it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
If it's like you're trying to make this kind of music, like I don't need 2 delays, 2 reverbs, synth pedal on my board, like all that. It's just like okay.
Yeah, normally if I can only choose one thing to have, it would be either and I'm playing with people just ad-libbing. It'd be like, all right, do you have any a reverb or delay? Like if there's anything with that, because then I can add some texture to it, and I can fuck around with even just like knobs and stuff on the guitar itself. Like I'd rather have that kind of versatility than get heavy versatility.
Right. Right.
But Explosion in the Sky, fucking A, like that's some versatile like pedal use. I like Omar Rodriguez Lopez
Oh,
from
man.
the Mars Volta.
Yeah. That's
I
one of
was
those.
worried we were gonna get into that.
That's one of those
Yeah.
unspoken things. It's like when people are like, who's your favorite guitarist? I'm like, well, I don't really need to say this, you know. When it comes to somebody that like can pick up any instrument and make what he's hearing in his head
Yeah.
into something that like other people can listen to and appreciate.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody does it like him.
I completely
The
agree.
percussive nature of the way that he plays guitar is amazing. Like the rhythms that he uses for everything, like sonically it's amazing, but he truly is developing a rhythm with his guitar playing. Like
That's like listening to At the Drive-In.
yeah.
You know, as I was growing up, was the thing that like I do a lot of the stutter picking, and
Yeah.
that's where it comes from.
Oh yeah.
Just was
sure.
it One Arm Scissor? When it gets
Yeah.
into the bridge, and he's doing the little harmonic thing. I absolutely abuse that. Like I should be arrested for how often I write songs, but that is exactly where it's from. You know.
Yeah.
There's even with his just technical ability, like if he's just playing acoustic, like the song Asilos Magdalena from Mars Volta, like just listen to him play the guitar, it's just like, oh my god, dude, like where are you
Yeah.
coming up with this shit, man?
Have you listened to his new project?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Me either.
Both drummers playing with one stick and a synth. Like he's playing guitar, like doing his thing. This incredible, like supremely funky bass player, and then two drummers that are both playing with one stick while also
Yeah.
playing synth parts.
I'm getting hella vibes here. Like the band hella.
Not quite. It's like very jammy.
Okay.
It's like jam music for people that don't like jam music. Like
That's cool because I don't like jam music.
I cannot stand.
It's like
that's one thing I've
super
always
funky
liked
and,
about
like,
the
very-
Mars Volta in particular is that they weren't afraid to have some nightmarish shit on their records.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Absolutely.
Like the atmosphere that they do a lot.
Or the panicked vocals, you know, like even on like Deloused, like just some of. Usually by like the first track, people are just like, I don't like her singing. It's like, well, one, that's a boy.
How dare you assume
Yeah.
You misgendered Cedric, you bitch.
You cunt.
But like it just their ability to take something heavy and they're like not doing like a metal or a punk thing with it. They're doing like more like hyperspeed Latin Pink Floyd.
Which,
And-
I think my favorite At the Drive-In track ever of all time, and this is one of those that like it's not something to easily do, but Octahedron is like the rhythm on that, just the way it drives is unreal, and the way they like get everything together and kind of like create movements in that sense.
Yeah.
But they're not afraid to take it anywhere.
No, they and like even like a band like Radiohead, where like their element of punk to them was just like, well, we want to try this idea. It doesn't matter what you wanted. It's like they had an idea and they saw to it. You know, like I like that about bands.
Bob Dylan.
And At the Drive-In, definitely. I didn't really care for the newest album. What was it, like 5 years ago they put out? But I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean these guys are like, you know, in their like upper 40s, pushing 50. And it's like,
It's different.
yeah.
I was living in El
Make some
Paso
money.
when they did their they did a reunion show at the Coliseum there, and couldn't even get tickets. Like the
Really?
day after tickets dropped, yeah, they were done. They sold out.
Fuck, man.
It was ridiculous. They're
I
from El
would've
Paso.
stood outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always forget the dude's name. I've met him like 10 times. But he owned the big venue in El Paso where like more like underground scene shows happened. He was the rhythm guitarist from At the Drive-In that did was it
Aloha?
Sparta.
Yeah. That,
I like Sparta. I'd never gotten into them very much, and my friend Alyssa turned me on to him. I like the guy's voice. He's on some At the Drive-In songs. I know he's on like One Arm Scissor and whatnot.
yeah.
But
Well, he does all the backing vocals for At the Drive-In. That was him. He's like the one white kid in the band.
with the stereotypical
didn't he-
white boy
Yeah.
cut.
Didn't he run for Texas government?
I don't know. Did he? Is
No.
that anything? Oh, that was a joke. My bad.
What was the guy that?
Jello Biafra.
No, the other. It's the guy they said he was going to be a Democratic presidential hopeful, but I keep wanting to say Buttigieg, but it's not Buttigieg.
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke. Yeah.
Yes.
He rode a skateboard.
He was in a band before At the Drive-In with members of At the Drive-In. Like,
That's crazy.
That was like his claim to fame, and then he was like, "I will take away your assault rifles."
Yeah.
And then he fell on his face.
That's like one platform if you're running for a federal, representative job of any sort. Like, do not run on anti-gun.
Well, he just
Especially
tried
in
to.
Texas.
He
Yeah,
thought ultra liberals were going to take him further than they could.
Yeah.
Like,
If your state is not purple yet, trying to go fucking turquoise with it is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not at all.
shit. I said the same thing about Georgia. What the?
You know, they still haven't certified any of the results in Georgia. They did, and then they said they're going to audit them, but according to the law, like once they're even certified, it's only like past tense or something like that.
I mean, they counted it originally. Then they did a hand recount, and then Trump ordered another recount via the machines.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Which
Well,
both of them are kind of misnomers because they were hand recounted and put into a machine. Like they weren't sitting there and be like, okay, and one for the orange idiot and one for the sniffing pedophile, and you know what I mean? Like
I prefer
like
you call him a geriatric.
the geriatric. I don't want to offend any of my listeners.
Yeah.
My goodness.
This was a tough election to vote for because
Amen.
it's like the concept of the lesser of the two evils.
No,
Really.
that's not even done yet. Like they,
No.
they haven't even finished it.
Let's get it the fuck together. And neither one of them's really like talking about it much anymore. It's all the news syndicates.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like, we have no fucking clue.
Everything on YouTube I browse has got like little fact checkers like Associated Press has called this race for President-elect Biden. Go ahead and see why. I'm like, no, I don't. I've been listening to the COVID nonsense all year as far as like, we had to flag your post because they flagged the last podcast that Jordan was on.
You got flagged?
Like,
We got flagged!
because the name was COVID and cringe. And they're
It's
like,
one of the symptoms.
but yeah, they're like, we've temporarily hidden this post. I'm like, for what? It's literally not. It's not even any of the context.
We would
of
have
anything.
more downloads.
It's one of the top ones so far.
That was a great episode. Yeah.
I had fun. That was the first time I've ever sat down for something like this. This is the second. But
It's whenever you first start it could be a little difficult because it's like fuck man, what do we talk about? What do we talk about? What do we talk
I was
about?
nervous. I don't know why.
Happens with me with every episode, but I get better at them. At least I hope so. But I don't know, like you kind of just accept the fact that you're kind of drowning, but you won't die. You know, it's like that scene in what is it, Abyss, where it's what's the actor's name? He was a guy in the moon in the Truman Show. Ed.
Oh shit,
Not Ed O'Neill.
Ed
That was the first
Ed
movie
who?
that ever had the
Is
like
it
M. Night
No,
Shyamalan.
Ed Herman's he's a MMA fighter. Ed, I know what you're talking
He was in
about.
Apollo 13, A History of Violence.
The eternal fucking receding hairline.
People on the other end of this are screaming like,
Am I right? Ed, I want to say it starts with an H.
I want to say it does too. It's got like that kind of. Now my brain's like Ed Halpert. It's like that's The Office.
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris.
That's the guy.
That scene in The Abyss where Ed Harris is like the liquid oxygen, like he has to drink it. They're like it's gonna feel like you're drowning, but you're not drowning. That's what podcasting kind of feels like, where he's just panicking in the suit, and they're like, "No, Ed, it's fine. You're okay, Ed."
I want to go back and watch that movie. I remember like the day that I watched that, I was like a young teenager in marching band. It had just been a football game. We had marched. I had come home, parents went to sleep, and we had just gotten a TV and cable. And I watched that movie like all the way through. Didn't give a shit most of the movie, like, but it's one of those movies that at the end, it was like one of the first movies that like had this amazing, just like deep dive where like a movie just ramps up so hard with the aliens at the end. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert. Yeah, it was incredible.
The acting that Ed Harris does after even the oxygen scene, like that, one of them has to drown again to make it back, and then like she's dead, and he lets out that like no, and like just like brings her back to life, but like he's there, like that man is that character. Mm-hmm. He's no longer Ed Harris. And, like, he's one of those actors that look at him just like, good God, dude, how do you tap into that, man? Yeah. Like, just like, in a history of violence, he plays this gangster that tracks down Viggo Mortensen after Viggo Mortensen kills some dudes in his coffee shop. They're like threatening to kill people and rob them. Mm-hmm. And he, kills them. And then these guys show up, they're like, I know you, Joey. I know you. You from Philly. And he's like, sir, I run a coffee shop in the diner here. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. But Ed Harris plays this gangster, and he's like starts following the family. He's like, your husband needs to quit playing games.
Hell yeah.
Have you guys seen it?
A History of Violence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I have.
I watch a lot of movies.
I used to.
Super, super big into movies.
My favorite performance I played, I baited you all because I just wanted to talk about it. So growing up in Valdosta, I didn't really get into music until much later in life, like mid-20s, and that's when I was like working at a bar and I had the money to start buying gear, and I was like, I've never played an instrument. Like, I had sang in Boy vs. Man and a couple of other hardcore bands, but never actually performed in it. And it really developed the stigma in my head of like hating a frontman, because the people playing the music, like anybody can get up and try to sing, and of course if you learn how to sing, that's a completely different story, but it made me hate the frontman. Like, he is the one that everybody looks at, but truly the people playing the music are the ones that are making it happen.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I just gained a respect that I'd never understood until later in life, of like how important the musicians were. And then growing up as a punk rocker hardcore kid, I'd always gone to shows in Valdosta at Vito's and everything, and whenever Vito's closed down, the Hardcore Mansion opened up. And it was awesome to go to shows there. That was like the new spot. Mm-hmm. And so whenever the DIY house opened up, it was like a revival to it was awesome because it was a new thing of like the youth of Valdosta, like an all ages place for everybody to come together and play music, which I feel is super important, which Vito's provided.
Yeah, the all age thing, for sure.
Well,
an all age scene
conduit for a counterculture to exist.
Yeah, exactly. You give kids something to do other than get in trouble. And you still give them the option to get in trouble as well.
Yeah.
You know,
like
you don't restrict them on anything, but you say like, hey, instead of going around and robbing folks, how about you come here and go into a mosh pit instead?
Yeah. But seeing kids have an all ages venue, it also keeps, like, people talk about a musical scene dying inside of a town, and I think the second that you don't have an all age venue in town, it's going to die, because it doesn't keep the younger kids coming up, being excited, seeing people doing it, wanting to do that, getting to do it, and it keeps the cycle of musicians flowing into it. And that's what a scene is like having a constant influx of new musicians, no matter how bad it may be or how amazing it may be.
Yeah.
They're developing egos at a young age. Well, that's going to eventually have to die.
Yeah.
Play on You'll Never Die. And so one of my favorite times ever playing music was getting to play the first show at the DIY house.
Yeah.
Like, it was so insane to like be standing there.
It was, right?
Like, hating myself because I surround myself with people that are way better musicians than me, and so like I'm always trying to catch up. But then like looking and seeing like there was like 50 people in a house show, like it was packed,
And like one like a fraction of the house
room,
like, compressed into like
like,
one area.
and like playing that was without a doubt like the best high I've ever had of like seeing people like that beginning and starting up. And that's like the biggest thing that I miss about live music is like a scene of musicians that are constantly aspiring just to want to play. It doesn't matter if anybody's watching you. It's like the high of just playing, like I want to come back so badly.
Well, yeah, and it's crazy with when like art in general is awesome. Art is like the artist's rendition of their emotions and their themselves, and then doing music and performing it, the whole like performance arts aspect of it, it is like a whole different level of connectivity with the viewer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And playing shows is one of those things that like there's nothing really like it when you play a show, whether it's like a handful of kids in a shitty venue, miles away from home, or playing to a great crowd of strangers also. But like one of my favorites has always been playing local shows to your best friends, and your best friends being there fucking face to face with you, and it like knowing in your head like it doesn't matter how shitty the set is, like they're gonna pump my tires at the end of it anyway.
Right.
But at the same time, like I feel like I've always put so much more effort into putting on the best show I can on a visual aspect and musical aspect when playing with friends, and like having the ability to do that again after so many years. Like we talked about it when I played in Dying Well, where like me and Matt would just be chilling outside the Blue Pub. It's just like, who's opening tonight? It's like, I don't know. And it was so used to like coming up with vetoes and stuff like that, where it was like high school bands. Yeah. There's so many more. Like everybody had a band growing up, everybody had a band. And there's this stretch of like 5+ years of there is not like
I was in almost every band.
Yeah, exactly. But there's definitely been it was almost like, because we're at the age now where like it's very obvious seeing the generational divide there, and seeing that it's really been that whole like changing of like an actual generation of society,
right?
And how they're having to take to, like, I have to actually perform in public to people that I know whose opinions I respect. I can't just post a video of it or a picture of it on social media. I have to do this face to face, and you can kind of tell that there's that disconnect with how many bands, how long it took for young bands to start back up again.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's stuff with like vetoes, man. Like you said, whenever you have an all ages venue, then you're fostering creativity with the scene, right? Mm-hmm. So like people will go to a show and they'll be like this is cool. Like I want to like be a part of this because it's an unparalleled high. Whenever you perform with people, same way it is with a recording, but like way different, quote unquote, drug. As far as like performing live, like there is no drug that compares with it.
Adrenaline just is ridiculous playing live, and not even like active adrenaline, just like knowing that there's eyes on you. Mm-hmm. It's cool. It's really cool.
I always tap into this part of me. It's just like, all right, just stay in character, because like with me it's like if I'm performing, it's just me with my dick in my hand most of the time. You know what I mean? Like so like what I don't like about if it's just a dude and a guitar, it's like all right guys, I'm gonna be singing some Soft and easy songs.
I wish that's how you started your
You guys
sets.
are coming out.
Yeah.
Normally, I either come out and insult the crowd or insult myself. Good evening. My name is Colter, and your mother has a very stinky vagina. And,
Yeah.
or, my name's Colter. I'm here to ruin your dinner.
Oh yeah.
Matt used to, what was it?
I
Back
don't
in the
even know,
day.
I've said so many bad
It'd be like
things.
mid-set, and we're playing, at a bar, and Matt would be like, yeah, somebody bring me a shot of a cock. It's just like, what the... I'm sitting there tuning my guitar, and I look over at Clay, and Clay's just like... And he starts counting into the next song. It's like, fuck yeah.
Because if I didn't say anything rude, Clay would just continue to talk.
He was so bad.
He's like, "Oh, this is rude enough. Let's start."
My goal was normally, I'm gonna get your attention. Whether or not I can keep it is another thing. Normally, I'll pay attention to how many people leave a room, how many people are coming to the stage or coming to to my face or whatever.
Yeah.
Some more tangible gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes if they're being rude or something, I'll call them out on it. If somebody's performing, then you should be quiet. That's the way I just view it. Now, not everybody has to have the same performance etiquette. I understand that, but just personally, if I'm at a show, I'm being very quiet. Because I want to be a spectator in it. I'm not about being a participant and all that.
Yeah.
No. I'm just gonna spectate. But this one time I remember, I think it was at the William Street House, and Kelby Clark was performing. Divorce Ring, I think, was performing. Divorce Ring is like, unless you're really into music, it's not going to be your thing.
Abrasive.
It's like people will be like, well, where's the beat? It's like, it's not that kind of music. What do you mean it's not that kind of music?
Get the fuck out.
But I'm watching him using all these different instruments and knobs and synths and a bow or certain things to create this sound. And I'm like, this is fucking cool. And this guy is talking to his buddy. He's
I
just
have
sort
a
of
really good story when you're done with this story about this story.
Yeah. He leans over to his friend and says something. And Kelby catches him, and he just sort of this gorilla face washes over him, where he's just sort of like my show, and walks over to him and starts screaming in his face, but into the microphone as well, as a way to shush. And I really I thought that was my favorite way to handle a heckler I've seen, as other than as egotistical as it is, my own. Because again, if I'm tapping into character and I'm on stage, it is ego fueled. I don't really care about your feelings at that point. It is in charge, and then 20, 30 minutes later, I'll be fine. We can chill. We can talk.
Yeah. So the guy that was talking, because I ran sound on almost every William Street show. I was standing there, and he was talking.
I was behind him, mind you. I'm over his shoulder. He can see me.
Yeah. Guess what shirt he was wearing?
It was either a white shirt or a blue shirt.
He was wearing a blue shirt. That shirt was a Divorce Ring shirt that he worked at the print shop. And he printed himself one, because Kelby never printed blue shirts. He was printing himself one. Didn't even know he was wearing the shirt of the artist he was watching and talking over.
Oh my goodness.
Super funny. It's being disrespectful while wearing bootleg merch of the band that he doesn't know he's watching.
That is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that guy. Right
I don't even know who it was. I just remember that. And I was just like I enjoyed it. That makes it even better.
It was fun touring with Divorce Ring because no one knew what was happening. Because Diamond was we're a very abrasive, heavy band, and he's a very abrasive noise artist. So it's just ow, this tour package hurts.
He also said he loved touring with you guys.
Yeah, my favorite tours ever.
I don't have very many heroes. but Kelby is absolutely at the top of the list. When I was first getting into music, he is young. I think he just turned 23.
Whenever I met him, he was in my mom's high school class. I was like, dude, you have a fucking beard.
He had his Beatles face when he was 8. He's a fucking
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a joke that my wife made that was very good.
The Beatles
I have
face.
never
I've been
learned
there.
so much
Never went there.
from someone and like how to perceive something, and the way that he views music is unreal. Like, I mean, he will. There is no doubt in my mind that he will succeed. Like his understanding of everything.
He just finished something. A
Casino.
casino?
Yeah. It's magical. He has picked up the lap steel. He is doing the most weird fucking shit you could ever imagine. And at the same time, like, the gears turning inside of that are just... Oh, it's unreal.
The only other person I met that's been on some sort of wavelength that occasionally they'll tap in the same spot in the ether, wherever all of our creative ideas we draw from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was a buddy of mine, Jason, also known as Taco. He did most of the tattoos on this arm. He was a guitarist in a doom psychedelic band called Ominous Black. His favorite guitarist was David Gilmour from Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
But he was telling me, like, he was trying to... he was with a mutual friend of ours at, like, the beach, and they had, like, eaten some mushrooms, and they brought their acoustics, and he was like, no, man, he's like, just play C. He's like, nothing but C. He's like, you can play it on different strings, but just play C and just let it drone out. And the other guy was like what do you mean, just play C? Like he wanted, like, solo and, like, all this other stuff on top of it. He's like, no, man, I'm telling you, just play and just let it drone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just do nothing but that. The guy couldn't get it. I was like, man, I would have fucking been like, all right, I can only play C. That's fine.
That sounds like a "You'll Never Die" song. I mean, that's kind of the exercise.
But
like,
eventually, I would get to the point with doing something droney like that, where, like, I would cheat. You know, like, I would start throwing in, like, now throw in a fifth harmonic with it, like, so, like, it blends in as well. You know,
keep the root.
Yeah, you just because it's something different to do. You know, like, as a musician, it's good to try different things. How many instruments do you play, man?
God.
All of them?
Yeah. A lot. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I stick to guitar.
can you play other instruments?
Yeah.
Can you play a bass if somebody handed you a
Yeah, I
bass?
can play bass. I fuck around on the piano a lot.
You can play the drums too. Don't let him fuck with you.
I'm not a very good drummer. I can keep up with, like, Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
You know.
That's the Beatles face.
I never got out. I was just like, this is good. This is fine.
This is all I need.
I'll listen to, like, you know, like, fucking, like, some, like, metal bands, like, I know he's not with Slipknot anymore, but Joey Jordison, like, the first Slipknot album. I was
Wait,
like,
it's
bro,
not?
he's just sprinting the whole time.
He's an anti-masker?
Yeah, you know who plays drums for Slipknot? You know who plays drums for Slipknot now?
Who?
The drummer of Bruce Springsteen's son. Super random.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No, he's a big hockey fan. A hockey podcast I listen to. They had him on there.
Joey
for an interview.
Jordanson?
No, the guy that
Whatever his name
plays
is.
for him.
Yeah.
I don't know the guy's
I
name.
don't give a fuck.
All I know is
I think his name
everyone-
is 10, you know, because
10?
they
Yeah,
had...
yeah,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
11 because they had to replace the dead one too.
Yeah. Paul Gray.
Yeah. It is crazy, like, switching up instruments. Like, you can kind of tell what somebody's approach to music is, seeing them go to a different instrument. Like, what's the first sound that they're going to try to make on that instrument once they figure out how it works, you know?
Mm.
It's always really interesting to me.
Yeah.
People's approach to music is extremely intriguing. Like, I think that tells a lot about a musician as a person.
I usually, I just like, I haven't done it much with social distancing, apocalypse party, 2020 COVID, but just improvising with folks, and because, like, it's one of the things I really like to do if I'm at some place where I know I'm going to be, like, stuck for a while. Like I was in a wedding recently, and we were out there spend the night. And I was like, I'm bringing my fucking guitar with me because if things get awkward, I can just sit in the corner and just play the guitar.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, do you want me to turn the music down? I'm like, absolutely not. I want you to keep playing fucking music. I'll just play along to whatever is going on. Like I'll figure it out. And it's the same way with like jamming with people where it's like, oh, should we play one of your songs? Like, fuck no, I don't want to think about like what I have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
It's always weird jamming with new people because you're just like, what's gonna come of this? And then you always know in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, when people don't understand music theory, it's super hard to just jam.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm trying to be super fucky right now, and you're trying to keep it straight.
That's it. Yeah, that's the weird thing. That's what makes it's always been easy riding with Matt and Jordan. It's just because like I have a different approach to guitar, but like Matt gets it because me and Matt played together for so long, and we have similar styles. And then we found out Jordan's on the same fucking wavelength.
I thought you were trying to call me out for not knowing music theory.
That's super funny.
Yeah. There are times where Jordan's like, what note is that? And I'll like name it, and I'm just like, fuck, all right, this note. But then it literally, he needs to know like the beginning and the end of the chord progression, and he figures it out from there, and it sounds fucking sick. And it's just like, it usually takes us like an hour at practice to write a complete song, or at least have an outline to improve upon.
Basically ready to play, but we still mold it to be what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then we need to figure out how to add our different flair.
A lot of like, I'm going to play this passage with 10 effects on. Okay, that's too much. Let me bump it down to 8.
Yeah.
The big thing that I really have enjoyed with getting addicted to effects and everything is learning how to play effects on bass. Like, because you can look at like a guitarist pedal board, and if you play bass to that, it's going to sound like muddy shit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like,
yeah.
But figuring out how to be a true bassist, like how to stick to the root of what a bassist is. Like, there's so many people that's like, I mean, I plug my bass in. That's what I do. But like, you have to still have that. Like, you have to be able to play a bass without any effects, but then understanding what can add to it. Like, my Desert Island pedal on bass would be a tremolo pedal.
Really?
I use a
That hummingbird is
fucking... I use this it's a clone of a Vox percussion tremolo, and it's just a hard square wave chop, so just like it holds the note that you're playing, but like chops it up like a synth almost. And like that'd
be a lot of fun to fuck with, actually.
That's my accent for everything. Like that's how like you can blend into something and build up, and like just like it really makes something like it's almost like pulling back a bow and letting it go. Like once you come off of that effect, it really just makes something else that's like a whole nother level. And then like on our noise parts, like you chop it, and then I'll do a clone of it with a old Boss DD3 pedal.
Yeah.
The DD3 has this awesome feature where you can record a half-second loop.
That's the hold feature.
Yeah.
Right?
So when you press that, it records a half second of what you're playing and repeats it. And so you turn the feedback all the way up, and so like the choppiness records for half a second, and then you play that into another delay that has modulation. So then that chop is then pitch shifting up and down, but keeps coming back to it. And then you change the distance between that delay loop, and you get like these insane bass drops. Like my bass rig is meant like I'm constantly trying to rip the speakers out of it. Like it's just
he does things.
I can do these weird like bass drops into like while maintaining what I'm doing. It drops the modulation down into this like ultra low sub frequency that like you can when I'm pressing the pedals, like I can feel my back like it's.
He does shit that like we'll be playing sets and like I'm like yelling into the microphone, but I still hear the bass doing shit, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Not in a bad way at all either. It's just like whoa.
Yeah, it's like making frequencies that you're not normally able to make on bass. It's like my goal, like
but keeping them
sub
practical
octaves. Yeah. like even when it comes to just staying on the rhythm, like keeping it involved in that to where like you're talking about somebody that wants to just play G note. Like that's my goal is like I can take my root G right here and take it down to here the whole way and then add effects to that while I'm getting there to just that entire measure is me getting from the top to the bottom and making like an explosion while I do it. Like,
On the ground. Though.
Yeah.
Not in the studio.
That was good.
Well, shit, fellas. We got about a 2.5, 40 some odd minutes of podcasting in.
Nice. Let's end this with Jordan's dick.
Jordan's dead.
Let's talk about Jordan's dick real quick. Jordan's dick just slapped the table. That was Jordan's dick.
sorry, Mom. Sorry, honey. When will you be home?
she heard the dick fall from 6 miles.
Oh God, it's out. Jordan, what's going on?
I heard it. It's like the A10s and Moody.
Fellas, thanks so much for coming on the show, Matt.
man.
Jake and Matt, it's good to have you on.
Yes, sir.
Jordan, thanks again for coming back.
Absolutely.
And we'll once your all's music is available, we'll pump it out again, dude. We'll plug it.
Nice.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah. Later, y'all.